Welcome back into the J-Cation Travel Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Paul, and we are back for episode number 13. On this podcast, I wanted to do something different. I wanted to bring a special guest on as we talk about the adventure of the seas. I recently went on that vacation with my family, including my parents, and I have brought on a special guest, my dad, Joel Paul. Joel, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jason. It's a pleasure to be here.
Perfect. Well, let's get into it. Let's not waste any more time. Let's talk about that cruise in general. We went on the Adventure of the Seas. That was out of Fort Lauderdale, and it was I believe it was a Western Caribbean cruise, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And we had 4 ports to call. So before we get into all that, let's start where we start on the cruise ship. So why did you choose this particular cruise, this itinerary, what made you pick this one?
Number one was that we have not been to many of the places that this cruise went to, Honduras, Belize. We have been to Cozumel, and Perfect Day before it was Perfect Day. So that was...
You actually went before they did the whole steal used to be on TV and all the commercials and stuff. Okay.
That is correct.
Okay, cool. All right, so ports were very important to you. When you go on cruising, ports are very important.
But there was other reasons to get the schedules had to be all in sync, as well as it was a very special cruise. It was our 50th anniversary.
Yeah, that's true. It was your and Mom's 50th anniversary. It was my wife's birthday, and then our anniversary was also later on too. So it was kind of fun. We got to do like a 3-way thing there with all the different anniversaries and special things we were celebrating, as well as kind of an early celebration for my daughter's birthday, and your granddaughter's birthday. Yes. And so it worked out perfectly. And yeah, you're right. With planning a cruise with another party, there is little logistics you got to work out as who can be off when can you go. And then it kind of narrows it down, and then you kind of pick your best situation there. I agree with that. So being that was...
good part of it was that we had picked up... this was 6 months in the making.
Oh, yeah. It took a while to plan this and get this set up.
Because of the schedules. So that it was important that we picked the right dates.
I agree completely. And it had to work out exactly for everybody's schedule. And like we talked about, that was a big deal. How did you... Now... I can say for my listeners on my side, we always drive to the port. That's what we did. How did you guys get to the port itself?
We also drove.
Okay. Where did you drive from? What area?
From Springfield, Virginia, or Washington, D.C. area. Okay. Took 95 straight down to Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, yeah. For all my Northern Virginia friends, I used to live in Northern Virginia, but for all my Northern Virginia friends, yeah, coming to any of these cruise ships, especially out of Florida, it's literally like, what do we do, honey? Get on 95. Well, then what do we do? Drive for 16 hours or drive for 13 hours or whatever, depending on where you're going. It's literally just a straight shot, which is really nice and maybe boring a little bit. I like driving, but
there was a lot of places to stop. I mean, a lot of sightseeing, a lot of historical areas. Charleston, South Carolina, Savannah was one of the places that we stopped at.
Yeah, because you actually did, if I remember, obviously we drove separately because we're coming from different states, but you did 2 stops on the way down. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, because you did South Carolina and then the night before with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we stopped at where did we stop in Florida? Oh, Palm Gardens.
Palm Beach Gardens.
Palm Beach Gardens.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. And that's something I always recommend to my listeners. I don't care if you're flying, driving, whatever, coming by helicopter, whatever you're doing, come in the day before or the night before, whatever. So you get a good, I know it's a little more expensive. And if for budgetary reasons, if you can't do it, I get it. I've been there, right? But if you have the monetary means to do it, come in at least the night before so you can sleep at your hotel, get a decent night's sleep. And then the next morning, wake up, have breakfast at the hotel, whatever you want to do, right? Go to Starbucks, whatever floats your boat. And then you can drive to the port and actually enjoy the first day. My family, when I first started cruising, we would drive 16 hours straight from Northern Virginia, get in the area at like, let's say 8 or 9 in the morning, go to like a Waffle House or Denny's or whatever was open at the plate, wherever we were, and then get on the ship at 11. And then before the ship leaves at 4, you're kind of already crashing because you're so tired from 16 hours of driving. So it's nice to break it up with a hotel, which is what we did. I think it's a little bit safer too, but, and you guys
we were
did
only
too.
An hour away. So it was much easier to get to the port at, Fort Lauderdale?
Fort Lauderdale, yeah.
Fort Lauderdale.
Port Everglades.
But interesting story was when we first started, your aunt would fly into the port, and I think this one was Fort Lauderdale. The plane was late. She had literally a half hour to get get off the plane and to the port, which is right next door, but it takes about a half an hour actually to go from one place to the next. And she just literally made it to the ship.
Yeah, I don't recommend anybody nowadays with flights and how hectic the schedules are, and we all know about all the cancellations and stuff that go on no matter where you are in the United States. I don't recommend cutting it that close. Obviously, if your ship leaves at 4 in the afternoon and they usually have final boarding, they want it about 3, usually about an hour beforehand. Make sure your plane's getting in it really early. And like I said, I don't recommend doing it the day of. Come in the night before. Just save yourself the headache. It's not worth it. All right, well, let's get into it now. You got to the port that way. How was the parking at Fort Lauderdale for you?
Parking was great. It's right outside of the terminal. No more than, I don't know, a football field, actually. But the first thing you do, you come up to the terminal, you come to the curb, and they take your luggage out of the car, put it on a carrier. You then get back into your car, drive to the parking lot, which is literally steps from the terminal.
Yeah.
You park your car. There's no the parking was easy. Spaces galore all over the place. And it was very easy. We just turned around, picked up our carry-ons, walked into the terminal, and that was it.
Cool. Yeah, and that's that ship at Fort Lauderdale. It's Terminal 18 mainly is where you're going to do. That's the Oasis class port, but that's also where they bring also the other ships. We Adventure the Seas, for people that don't know, is class wise of size wise is 2 down from the Oasis class. So it's a much smaller ship. Doesn't mean it's bad or anything. It's size wise is a little bit different. So the amount of spaces they're going to have, that is set up to accommodate number of Oasis passengers. And that would also mean possibly an Oasis class set of passengers coming on and coming off. So they have to have enough spaces for both those people. And they do a great job there. And when we're talking about parking, we're referring to this is the Royal Caribbean parking. At all these ports, you can go to third-party parking places. I don't have a comment of whether they're good or bad. Do them at your own risk, right? But this is sponsored by Royal Caribbean. It's staffed. It's got security there 24/7. They have cameras everywhere, so they're watching your car. I've parked there every time I've been to Fort Lauderdale for a cruise. Never had any issues with it whatsoever. And like my dad said, it's not very expensive. It's more expensive than a third-party one for sure. I want to say it's roughly, I don't remember the exact price. I'll say 120 to 150 for the week. It's so much per day. I don't remember. You can look it up. But just the feeling of knowing that your car is safe, knowing that, it's going to be, it's plenty of room. Yeah, it's close. And that the fact you can literally, because normally when my family comes into to port, we have all our bags. You're coming out of the terminal, you're done with your cruise. You have your carry-ons and your regular bags. My family will get to a certain point, stop on the curb somewhere where kind of everybody congregates, and then I'll go get the car, bring it around, throw the bags in, boom, we're on the way out, back home. And that works great. And when you're doing that, you're not walking very far. You're literally walking across, I don't know, like my dad said, like maybe half of a football field, and then you're getting to the car, and then it's just going, finding wherever your car is in the lot. So it's really nice. Let's get into the ship part.
However,
now.
It was also convenient to the point of that most of these places are close to 95 or whatever the highway is to get there. You're not going through, if you're taking a third-party parking lot, you could be driving 5 or 10 miles away.
Yeah, that's if you're doing. Yeah, that's true. You can do ones really far away, and also you can do stuff where certain hotel chains, certain hotels, especially near the piers or the ports, excuse me, they will offer. You get a hotel room there, and then you can leave your car there for 7 days. And some of them do it for free. Some of them charge you a $25 a day, $20 a day, whatever they want to charge, and it fluctuates. And I'm sure it's different today than it will be when you listen to this in a year. So take that all into account. But are they really monitoring your cars? Is there really security, watching who's coming in, who's coming out? Probably not. Are they monitoring your cars 24/7? Probably not. So you got to use that all in what you're comfortable with. But that's a good point too. If you do park, you might park further away, which then means you have to get an Uber or a Lyft or a taxi or whatever you like to do to then get back to the port. Whereas this one, you're just literally walking. Like you never cannot see the port when you're at the parking lot. And if you go to some ports like Port Everglades, for instance, that's a garage. So it's really nice too. And that one's nice too because it's even covered there, which is really nice.
Right.
But anyway, let's skip all that. Let's move forward now. So you got to the port. So how long would you say it actually took you from the park when you've actually parked your car to when you walked on the ship?
20 minutes.
Okay, so about 10, 20 minutes, something. That's pretty usual. And we're going to talk about this a little bit later too, but this cruise, we had booked junior suites. We'll get to that a little later. But when you're in suites, one of the benefits is, besides all the sweet stuff that we'll talk about later, but one of the other benefits is you do get to go to the suites, different lines. They have different lines. Yeah.
Okay, now I remember. There was...
Yeah, so it gets you around, not that you're better than anybody or anything like that, but it gets you to cut in line. You go through a separate entrance, you have a separate thing, you have separate check-in, separate security line. It's all a little bit different. So obviously if you're there when all the suites are coming on, it could be slow, right? But if you do it right, like when we got there, we literally just got there, walked on. I think ours time from there was probably 10 minutes for us. I mean, we were there a little bit, like I said, about an hour different than you. So that could be hit or miss thing, but we literally walked on. They said, "Oh, you're in a suite." Checked our paperwork. Cool. Went to a lady, checked in, did some questions. Are you sick? Let me see your passport, whatever. Checked your stuff. You already did all the stuff on the app. And then we were literally on the ship in 10 minutes. We just walked right on.
Now that I recall, you got on the ship at 12 o'clock. That was your reservation time. Ours was 12:30, which meant that there were more people around, which made it a few more minutes to get through the line.
Sure, but it's way better than it was in the old days, for sure. With the app, it's way better. That Fort Lauderdale is one of the piers for sure, one of the ports for sure where they deal with the app. So I always tell people when you're with Royal Caribbean, before you go on the cruise, like as you're getting ready to go, whatever, download the app so you have it on your phone. You're going to check in on your app. Okay, I recommend do that. You're going to take your picture already. You're already going to scan your passport. You already fill in all your information and stuff like that. You've already put your credit card, linked it, so that's what will be linked to your CPass card. And then that way, when you go on the ship, they're literally just verifying the information you already given them, and you get walk right on the ship. And you don't have to stop anymore. In the old days, you had to go up to the service desk, and they would take your photo, and then they would give you your CPass cards then, and you would, commence and walk on the ship. Nowadays, your CPass card is when you get on the ship, it's already on your room. It's at your room in an envelope. It's a sealed envelope with like a tamper resistant thing so you can see if someone's opened it. And you literally go there, you go to your room, there's an envelope taped to your door or right near your door, pick it up, rip it open, there's your CPass cards, boom, use obviously one of them to go in your room, and common sense after that. So yours was about 20 minutes, ours was about 10, 15, somewhere in there. Honestly, I didn't time it, but it was really quick. Did you enjoyed the app as well, I'm assuming, as far as using that to show your documents?
Oh, of course. I mean, all the documents can be photographed and literally uploaded to the card and everything else. That they have all the information. It's perfect. Yep. I mean, there is not a thing wrong with the app. We never had a problem with all the trips that we have taken. We've never really had a problem with the apps, and the apps coincide with everything that you need. So everything is synced.
Yeah, and I'll say too that I recommend this for everyone. Now, when you get the app, you're going to go, when you get to the main person that's going to check you in, they're going to ask to see your app. If you have your app, if you have a phone, you're going to show them the app, and they'll do a little gun thing and scan your barcode, and right, that's it, right? However, I always recommend all my guests print out a copy. I'm going to email you stuff through J-Cation, and obviously if you're booking some other way, you'll get it too, but print out a copy of your onboard paperwork. You'll know what it is when you get it. Just have a copy. Like I always throw a copy in a Ziploc bag along with our passports and stuff, and I keep it in your your carry-on luggage. Excuse me. Don't put it in your check-in luggage, so then you have to go find it, and that's a nightmare. Put it in your carry-on luggage. Know which pocket it's in, so you're not holding up the line, being one of those people. And you just pull it out, and that way, if they're going to want to see your passports anyway, so you're going to show them to them. They're going to verify it matches what you already scanned and stuff like that. And then, if for some reason your phone doesn't work, your battery dies, whatever, there's a cluster with the cell service or something like that, right? You still have a backup to show them the paperwork. They can scan it. That's the same thing as the app. So do both. Faster is with the phone, obviously, but you still got to print one, in my opinion, to have that backup. All right. So we got on board now. What were your first impressions of the adventure of the seas?
It looked like a hotel. It has all the appointments. It had all the amenities of a resort.
So you didn't think it looked outdated or anything in today's time period?
It didn't matter, but it was not outdated. I
Right.
mean, it
That's
was
what I'm saying.
all updated. A lot of the normal, the new stuff, the glass and steel and all that other stuff. But beyond that, the carpeting is nice. It's not old. Everything is clean. Everything
And it
is.
smelled clean too. I noticed.
It smelled clean. It was clean, and these people all at all times cleaning.
Yeah,
rubbing,
detailing, wiping stuff down. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like watching a car being detailed.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head. This ship obviously has been amplified since it was first built because it does have the slides on it. That's how you can always tell. It does have all that stuff on it. I don't remember the date, but it's not, as far as amplification time to now, it hasn't been that many years. I want to say I think this is the ship that was amplified right before the coronavirus stuff, and then because of that, obviously no one sailed for a while, and so it hasn't actually been used for that many years since the coronavirus. So it looked really nice. They did a great job with it. And like I said, it's a smaller ship, but it's up to you. Like, every ship is really nice, and they all have lots of amenities, and we'll go over some of that as we keep going. Now, we kind of already briefly touched on this a little bit, but what kind of stateroom did you guys have on this cruise?
We had this junior suite.
Do you remember your room number by any chance?
1628.
Okay, that's just for some people. I know some people like to look this stuff up and check that stuff out. So you had junior suite 1628. Now, had you and mom ever been in a junior? What do you normally sail in? What normally class do you go in?
Just a stateroom with a balcony.
You do a balcony normally.
Yes,
Okay.
normally.
So have you ever done an interior?
Many years ago, we
Okay.
have done interior. We have done most of what is available. We've done interiors. We've done portholes.
Okay. So the ocean view, they call
The
it.
ocean view, and we have done balconies.
Okay.
You know.
And on this cruise, what made you want to upgrade to a junior suite on this cruise since you had never done one before?
Our travel agent had found a great deal that came up that we didn't even know about because you don't know how to check to see if there is a special rate coming up.
And who was your travel agent? Shameless plug.
J-Cation.
Thank you. Very good. Yeah. Obviously, guys, I was the travel agent, obviously. But what he's talking about is we both, for the first time, wanted to experience, because this was a really special event. Like I said, there were, if you count my daughter's birthday in there too, even though it was a couple months later than that, there were really 4 different things going on at that, that we were all kind of humbling together to make it a really fun experience. So we kind of wanted to upgrade the experience. We both booked balconies. That was the original booking we did because I think, kind of, in my opinion, once you go ocean view balcony, you're not going to go lower than that unless you're really trying to do a budget trip, which is totally fine too. But I mean, I can go on and on about ocean view balconies. But anyway, we did that. So we booked the cruise, and what my dad's talking about, we did that. And after we booked the cruise, I'm going to say, I don't remember exactly when, but maybe like a week later, as you're a travel agent, or anybody's travel agent, I'm always checking every day I check the prices. Because as you know, before final payment, you can always rebook at the lower price. So if they drop their prices down, you keep everything the same. Nothing changes on your ship except for the amount you have to pay. We talked about this other times. You've probably seen some of my marketing and stuff like that, but this happens all the time, right? Well, what I hadn't had happen before is one time I was looking, and like I said, it was me, my wife, and my daughter. So I kind of was like, maybe a junior suite would be nice, because a junior suite basically is a ocean view balcony room that's a little wider. It's a little bit wider. It's not ginormously wider, but it's a nice bit wider. And I thought, hey, with 3, by Royal Caribbean standards, 3 adults, because anything over 12 is considered an adult, to have that little extra space might be really nice. I wonder how much it would be to upgrade us to that. Would that be monetarily make sense? And so when I looked for us, I noticed that it was, I don't remember the exact number, but we're going to say roughly it was about $450 for the 3 of us to move up. Total, like $150 a person. And that's, to me, dirt cheap for a 7-night cruise per person. So we talked about it. And we decided that was a good idea for us. And I was calling my parents and talking to them about it, just saying, hey, this is what we decided to do. I think this, plus you get double points and all the benefits of a junior suite and stuff like that. But more importantly, we're going to have more space. And then my parents were like, well, we would like more space. And so I was like, cool. And so I looked up theirs, and I want to say yours off the top of my head was
300.
300. I think it was the same. I think it was like 150 a person. So in that situation, it's a no brainer, in my opinion. So we both got upgraded to a junior suite. It's not always like that. Sometimes junior suites could be $1,200 more. That's up to you if you think that's a good deal or not. I don't, but some people might. So for us, it was nothing to talk about there. It was perfect decision. And so we both upgraded the junior suite. So let's talk about your room specifically. And with your room, did you have a lot of, because this is a complaint people have on cruise ships of any brand, and different cruise ships on Royal Caribbean, of course, as well. Did you have a lot of outlets? Did you have a lot of USB chargers?
It was quite surprisingly how big this room was for a junior suite. Yes, there was the whatever, the king size bed and all that, but it still had room for a couch and 2 chairs and a coffee table. That was a surprise to have that much room, plus the balcony, which was a double size, I believe.
I think it's 1.5. I think because the ocean view balcony rooms normally will also have a couch, a table, and 2 chairs, or at least a couch and 1 chair at least. They usually have it, but this is it's a half room wider, if that makes sense to anybody. So you notice it though, big time. The hallways aren't squishy.
No. The bed was there, and this seating area was actually separate and with room.
Yeah.
I mean, this was not a normal stateroom. It was obviously upgraded. But the other thing that we noticed was the luggage area, not the luggage, closets.
You have a walk-in closet on
We
there.
had a walk-in closet. Now, my wife likes to overpack. Since we were driving, it didn't make any difference.
Sure.
We were going on an airplane,
Right.
so she overpacks. We always overpacked. We never know what's going to happen, and we just overpack.
Sure. And that way too, if you want on the way home, if you want to stop somewhere else, you have the clothes and the stuff to do that if you want to.
Which we did anyways, because that's what our plan was. However, after we unpacked, and I'm sure we had big bags and all this other stuff, there were still room in the closet.
Yeah, it's a big closet for people. If you're interested, you can go on YouTube and you can look up Adventure of the Seas Junior Suites. You can pull up; they're all the same, roughly. There might be one that's a little bit different, but they're all the same. They are real. I'm talking legit walk-in closets. Like you could literally put like a cot bed in there and sleep. It's big. It's big space in there. So for those people who bring lots of luggage, and normally you have to bring normally I recommend people bring soft bag luggage so you can collapse it, throw it under your bed, because the hard shells aren't going to fit under your bed. That's a little pro tip there as well. But in this room, it didn't matter because you could just, if you had everything hard shell, you could just throw it all in there and you still have so much room, so much shelving, and there was ample storage. But as far as outlets, how were the outlets in the room?
The outlets then.
Outlets USB.
If you were talking USB outlets.
And outlets too, just power outlets as well.
It was all over the room. There were extra USB outlets on the reading lamps.
That's nice. That's a nice touch.
There were 2 bed tables as well. There were plug-ins.
Yeah, I know usually you have a few at the desk there under the mirror, like the vanity area.
Yes. So it was easy to use the multi-USB charger that we bring along, because you have extra things. You have the phone. Besides your phone, you have earphones. You have
iPads,
computers, or whatever else you want to think about. So the multi-USB charger is a good idea.
Yeah.
But there are places to plug these things in that we don't have, that we didn't run out of space.
That's good.
There were a lot of places. As I said, the USB at the reading lamps were.
Yeah, that's a nice touch because you don't see that on. I've been on a lot of different cruise ships, and don't ask me why it's not a standard issue. It probably is nowadays as they're building them now. But this was obviously a little bit older ship before they refurbished it. And just because it goes in for a refurbishment does not mean that they go hit every stateroom and fix every stateroom. They do certain things on these, like they put the slides in, but they might not really screw with the rooms too much, or they might screw with all the rooms and not do slides. It depends. You got to know what they're doing. But a lot of cruise ships, you do not see as much. Well, definitely you don't have as many power outlets. You usually have like two usually. And then if you bring an adapter for a European one, you could use that and have three technically. And then of course you have one in the bathroom, but who wants to charge their phone in the bathroom unless you have to? But definitely the multi USB charger is the way to go. That's also a pro tip from us. Okay, well now we're on board, and the other question that everybody wants to know about is how was your experience at the world famous Windjammer, the buffet on board?
The world famous buffet was fine. Easy.
What a raving review.
It's nice, but in comparison to the other restaurants, the Windjammers is a nice buffet.
That's fine. Yeah, and that's fair because everybody knows is the Windjammer going to be the same experience as going to the main dining room? Of course not. But what in the regards to the Windjammer, was it full service or self-serve? For the most part.
It was self-serve.
Okay.
I mean, you went down not a conveyor belt,
like a cafeteria line.
Like a cafeteria. There were people behind the counters for help if you needed some. Obviously, if you wanted a drink, there was somebody filling up
glasses
of tea and lemonade or water or whatever you need. So there were a lot of staff around to make the experience enjoyable.
And they also do have the in the Windjammer on most ships too. They have the freestyle Coke machine there. So if you do have an ultimate drink package or a Coke a refreshments package where you get the Coke cups and stuff, that you can go up there and fill that up with anything that's in the freestyle machine. That's one of the great places to go there and fill up throughout the day. Now, obviously, I know you're a big fan of the main dining room
Yes.
because you like that elevated experience a little bit. So how was your main dining room experience? First of all, what kind of dining time did you do for this cruise?
We did my time dining.
Okay, and why did you think why did you choose my time dining versus a set schedule?
The set schedule is fine, except you never know what you're going to be doing that particular day. You could be coming in late, from an excursion or just from a visit to an island. Also, 8 o'clock may be sometimes too late to begin eating when you're hungry at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. You never know from day to day. So my time is a good time because you can go there anytime.
Yeah, that's my philosophy too. We've always done my time dining because I like to, when I'm on vacation, I don't want schedules. I have that at work. I don't need that when I'm on vacation and there to relax and stuff like that. So, if I want to sit by the pool or like you said, you want to take a nap, you want to go to a flow ride or whatever you want to do on the cruise, or maybe you have a show that you really want to go see and dinner's that you're going to go at 6 o'clock because you're scheduled to be there at 6. And the show starts at 7:30. Well, at the main time dining, the main dining room, excuse me, you're not going to make it there by 6:30. You're not going to be done then. You can usually tell them to hurry up. Kind of when you get there, you can say like, "Hey, we got a show at 7:30. Can we like order the appetizers and the food at the same time?" And they'll do that. They'll help you out, but it can only come so fast. So that's the other thing.
Basically a 2-hour experience.
Yeah, and they've actually trimmed it down. That's one of the things I want to talk to you about. That used to be one of the big complaints that Royal Caribbean was getting for a while was that the main dining room experience for people, this is obviously a big enough number that they switched it, was taking too long, about, like you said, about 2 hours. So everybody knows by now, over the last year or so, on all the ships now, they've moved to a more condensed menu and then a themed menu every night. So one night will be Mexican, one night will be Italy, one night will be, I don't know, France or whatever, right? And they'll kind of take you around to the different cuisines, which is really cool. They obviously have some new dishes. They've trimmed down the selection of what they used to call your classics. So that's a little bit trimmed down, but in doing so, what they've tried to do is make it so that when you're seated at your table to when you get up your table because you're done will be no more than an hour and a half. Did you feel they did that on this cruise?
Yes, it was enough time it's usually a 3 or 4 course meal. That's if you consider soup and salad as
Sure. And then
two
desserts and
courses.
stuff. Yeah.
And then you have the main course, and then you have your dessert. The food is always excellent. Sometimes it's different, but in most cases, is an excellent menu.
Now, did you notice um, any problems with the heat of the food, like the temperature of the food, I should say? Sorry.
Temperature of the food is always hot and ready to go.
Because that's been
It
another
was not
complaint
cold.
too. They've had to, and this is from Royal Caribbean saying what the guest responses have been, that they were having problems with, because there's so many people and because it's so big, it's 2 hours windows, but there's multiple 2 hour windows going on all at the same time, that it was hard to get sometimes the people their food piping hot like it should be. You want a steak or you get a chicken, you want it to taste like a warm chicken. You don't want it to be like lukewarm or anything, right? How was now a lot of people don't understand this. When you do set dining, like you reserve, you either do an early or a late dinner. So I don't remember the times off the top of my head, but let's say it's like 6 and 8, okay, or
Right.
something like that. If you get those, you show up at 6 o'clock, you walk right in, you sit at your table because you have a assigned table. You're gonna be at that table every time, same staff every time. When you do my time dining, let's go on the same thing where it's 6 and 8. My time dining won't start till 6:30. There's a 30-minute buffer between the start of regular people dining and my time dining. Now, when you go to my time dining, and you also make reservations with my time dining, just so you can kind of give them a heads up of when you think you're going to be there. If you don't come at that time, no one cares. But
Right.
what happens is you get there. A lot of people get confused on this. When you get to the main dining room area and you have my time dining, which I said is what we both did on this cruise, there'll be two lines, one that will say with reservations and one that will say without reservations. So common sense, if you have a reservation for 7 o'clock and you're there for my time dining at 7 o'clock, you get in the with reservation. If you're there at not with the reservation, you get in the other one. Sometimes those lines can be a little bit slower because they are controlled by how many people are finishing up their meal that were there before you to free up tables and stuff like that. They also have other tables, but that kind of thing. How did you feel the wait time was from when you got to the main dining room? You're in the entrance there and you're waiting in line or whatever till you actually got to sit down. How did you feel about the wait time, and was it real long?
We never had a wait.
Yeah.
5 minutes at the most at any of the times.
Okay.
But it seemed to move very quickly. They found our place. They know, one of the things that I was impressed with is they know where you sat the previous night. They try to put you back with the same waiter and the same wait crew. Sometimes it's not possible and you have to sit someplace else. But what they are doing, they're very accommodating. They also know, no matter where you're sitting, what you had the night before. If you ordered a Coke, they bring you another Coke. If you ordered wine, they know where the wine is.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, they know where if you ordered a drink, they know that you had a drink, and they will ask you again if you would rather have a before dinner drink.
I've even had it times where they know my big thing is I love a extra dirty Grey Goose martini, and they know for me once I do that a couple times, they, like my dad said, they'll pick up on that and they'll have that when I sit down, like it's already there. I've seen that too. Their customer service is outrageous. What was your favorite meal there that you had in the main dining room?
We loved the lobster night.
Okay.
Let's face it, the lobster night is the best.
Sure. Did you now there's a big stink going on, in the Royal Caribbean community. They switched during this stuff when they switched the menus like they did and all that stuff. One of the things they also switched was the old days you could go and you could get as many lobster tails as you wanted. You could say, "Hey, bring me 10 lobster tails," and they'll just bring them. They don't care. Now it's I believe it's limited. You definitely get the one for free for sure. I don't remember. I don't think you get a second one. And it tells you on the menu it's like I think $16.95, but the prices could change at any time. Extra. So if you want an extra one, did you get an extra one, or did you just do the free one, and basically call
It
a
was
day?
sufficient for us. The one lobster tail, plus with all the other extras that came with it, the potatoes,
The appetizers,
the
too.
appetizers, and all that. It was a fulfilling meal. I mean, we didn't leave the table hungry.
Okay, and that's what's important. So that was your favorite meal, was the lobster, and that's a good one. Obviously, a lot of people like lobster, which also usually coincides with formal night too. So if you're one of the people that likes to dress up and you want to be in a tux or a nice gown, if you're a lady or whatever, that's usually how you can tell on a 7-night cruise. You're gonna have two formal nights. One of them is usually on the third or second or third from the end cruise night. That's your lobster tail night, and that's how you'll know too. Um, let's see here. So you said you had great service there. Did you notice though any staffing issues at all in the main dining room?
None that I saw.
Okay, so
I
it seemed to
mean,
flow really well.
everything we flowed. There was a head waiter, there's an assistant waiter, and then you have the bus staff, such as they fill the water, they bring you the bread, they do the extras that you need that the other two can't.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They also have a maitre d guy that will walk around or girl,
Right.
whatever. That's another thing to remember too. I forgot to send this earlier. When you get on shit on the cruise ship, you can go the very first day. Just go to the main diner. It won't be open. I mean, it'll be open, but not for people to come sit, right? But you can walk in there. Of course, you can go anywhere on the cruise ship for the most part. They're not going to like tell you can't go in different rooms. If they don't want you in a room, they're going to close the door. But you can go in there and you can ask the maitre d. There'll be a maitre d there. Like I said, they're not open for food yet, but you can say, "Hey, I'm show them your CPass card or give them your room number. They can look it up, and they will show you where your table is. Like you're going to be at table 55 or whatever, and they'll take you to table 55 to show it to you. So if, for instance, you have you're with a group like we're a group of 3 and then 2. If we want to sit together, obviously that's 5. So if I want to know, hey, I told you to get as a travel agent, I can set it up and tell them we want a 6 top because it comes in even numbers. So we can either 2, 4, 6, 8, whatever, right? So you can also go there your first day and say, hey, what table are we at? And they'll say 55. Then they'll show you the table. And if it's a 4 top and you know you have 5, you just be like, yeah, not going to work. And they'll get me, and they'll understand and they'll flip it for you. They'll fix it for you. Or if you go and you see a table and you're like, I've been on a cruise once with my wife where we went and we were a couple, so it was just 2 of us. They took us to a 2 top and we were back in the area. It's a nice area and stuff, but behind you is it's like a little alcove thing where they take the dirty dishes and they drop them in there, and then it goes on a conveyor belt, I guess, downstairs somehow they're not cleaning dishes in there or anything, but that's where it goes downstairs so that people can clean it. Well, it's a little noisy around there because there's always people bringing dishes from different things. And then also, like, I didn't want to see dirty dishes, obviously, because that's kind of takes the ambiance away. So I just asked them, I was like, hey, this isn't the best seat. Can we get a better seat? And I don't care if we have to wait or whatever. Like, I don't mind waiting. Like, if we have to go back out, wait for 30 minutes for it, I'm willing to do that. And they're like, oh, yeah, no problem. And they took us to one. They're like, how's this? I'm like, that's perfect. I'm not picky, but I just don't want one near the dumpster. So, like, for us, like, and that's something you could do too. So, what I'm saying is, even if you're just a couple going on a cruise, you can ask to see, hey, where's your room? Or where's your table? And you go see it. And if it's something you like, cool. A lot of people like the ones near the windows, which in my opinion is nice, but a little silly at night because it's just darkness outside. But if definitely at lunchtime or something, those are nice. But if you want a certain room and a certain thing, you might have to wait, but you can see if they can accommodate you. And like my dad said, they're very good at doing the best they can.
In the other cruises that J-Cation has booked for us, when there were just 2 of us, in most cases they are very accommodating to the 2 tops. They know that those are usually couples, older, younger couples, but they're there on their own. What they've done at one cruise, they put all the I don't know what you call it, the 2 seaters,
2 tops, yeah.
the 2 tops next to each other.
Okay.
So you got not only were you having a good meal, but you had good conversation because everybody was in the same boat, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And it was
literally as well.
literally, and you were able to talk with them, and then from that point on, there were other people who are recognizable on the ship that you could see, and sometimes you wave at them, sometimes you sat down and had a coffee with them. As for the lobster night, we were there. The family didn't want to go to lobster night for whatever reason, so we just came in on our own, and they put us again with a group of tables that were 2s again. Most people are very, very friendly. Not only the wait staff, but so are the people who are taking the cruises. So they all like.
Yeah, you're on a cruise with people who love cruises.
Yeah.
Cruise people, I mean, there's occasionally a bad apple here or there, right? And that's anywhere you go in the world. But you're around people that love cruise. You're on vacation. in my opinion, and I've said this 1,000 times, you're on the best vacation you can be on. In my opinion, cruising is best vacation because you get there, you unpack one time, you go all around whatever ports you're going to, right? So you can experience all the different ports. You can, if you're a drinker and you like getting kind of like have some fun, let loose a little bit, you can do that all day long, all night long. You never have, obviously you don't have to drive anywhere. There's none of that. You're just walking around and you're taken care of. All your food's taken care of, all your entertainment's taken care of. There's so many things to do and so many possibilities. Now, being on that point too, just to make people aware, in the old days, obviously on cruises, a lot of people didn't like this, but on old days, if you were a couple, they would sit you at a table of 6 and you would sit with 2 other couples, let's say, right? Just randos. You don't know who these people are. I would never want to do that. And I would never have gone on a cruise if that was the case. That's kind of more old school or different kinds of cruise lines. Some still do it. But however, on Royal Caribbean, specifically, because I had this with a customer, client of mine that went on a cruise recently, you can request that. So if you're one of those people like my last clients there, they were a couple, just 2 people, and they wanted to go on a cruise, and of course, but they wanted to eat in the main dining room at a table of 8 with rando 6 they didn't know. And they love, because they were just like, I love talking to people. I love like learning about, whoever, just not prying, but just being cool with everybody. And they loved it. And so that was their jam. And then I booked a cruise for them later on, and they're like, we want to try this one by ourselves just to try the thing and see how it is. And so it's all, you can do whatever you want, and you can flip flop during the thing. If you decide you want to just tell your maitre d's, they'll help you out. That's the point of it. You can kind of do whatever you want. Now, let's go, excuse me, moving forward. Did you do, well, I'll start with my thing. So we did specialty dining. My family, we really enjoy the specialty dining. We feel that there is value. There's an upcharge, depending on, you can buy it in packages, you can buy it at the ship, you can buy it before the ship singly, you can buy it all in a group, whatever it ends up being roughly around 55, and this price will change, but $55 a person for these things. That gets you in the door, is paying for gratuities, and that's what that's for. You can also, I always tip on top of that, but that gets you in the door. Now, some people will say that's not worth it. Our family, we really like them. So we did a three combo thing where you get to do 3 different specialty restaurants. On this one, you guys did some specialty restaurants as well. What did you do, Dad?
We ate at the Chops Grill.
Okay. And how was that?
Obviously steaks. It was very good. Couldn't complain. I mean, it was an interesting way that they did their, what do we have? Sirloin?
No, we had
ribeye.
Ribeye, yeah.
Ribeye.
Ribeye was amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the cool things too was some people don't know this either, but when you book a dining package, when you book a dining package pre-cruise, they're going to make you pick one night, and they're going to tell you what restaurant. Usually it's Chops, but they're going to say you have to go to Chops on either day 1, night 1, or night 2. And you pick. When you get on the ship, you can change that. If you don't want to go night 1 or night 2, just get on the ship and tell them and buy availability. The reason they do that is they're trying to space it out, like, because they know that. So, but when you get on the ship, you also want to give them what time. So we went to Chops Grill. We're getting on the ship. We're walking around the ship. Rooms aren't open yet. So we're walking around the ship. We found the Chops Grill, and we went there talking to them. Like, yeah, we have a thing for tonight, actually, or tomorrow night, whatever it was. And I think we did the second night. So we're like, hey, what can we do available? He's like, oh, when do you want to do it? And I was like, I don't know, 5 or 6 or whatever time we picked. I don't remember what time we picked. Let's just say 6. Can we do it 6? He's like, yeah. And I was like, hey, also, we're a 3-person. Obviously, you could see us. We were all standing there. And I was like, my parents are on this cruise too, and I want to get them. I want to surprise them, and because my parents really like the main dining room. I think the main dining room is fine, but I think it's way too long, and the food's fine. The food's good, but it's not blowing. Sometimes I don't think the food's awesome, but it's good. And then it just takes way too long to me. So now they've condensed that, like I said, but whatever. So I would do the special diet. So I went there and I was like, hey, can I add my parents? I want to kind of surprise them and get them here. He's like, yeah, you can do that. And it would be obviously like $100 or 110, whatever, to add them. Cause like I said, it's about 55 a night, whatever it was then. And he said, or what I can do for you if you want is we can do a thing called Chops +1, which they come to Chops and then you get a +1, then go to any other specialty restaurant. And it was like, I'm going to say, instead of being $55, it was $80 or so. I don't remember what it was, but it's cheaper than if you were to buy 2 singly. You're getting a little bit of discount because you're getting 2 of them. And so I was like, oh, that's awesome. And so he hooked it up. I was like, yeah, bill me for it. He's like, no problem. And then we added them to our dinner on the second night. Say, hey, we're all going to be here now. We're a 5 top at 6 o'clock. Got it. Cool. So I went, and then we went to Chops. And when we got there, the gentleman that was outside talking to us and helping us book all this stuff, he also at that in any of the specialty restaurants, they can book you any of the other specialty restaurants. So if you want to do a Zumi or if you want to do Giovanni's or whatever, you can be like, yeah, can I do a Giovanni's on Thursday? He'd be like, yeah, no problem. And he can book it for you right there. They don't care where you're booking from. But he was like, so we came in there to our dinner with our family, with the 5 of us, and he was actually our head waiter too, which was really cool because you kind of got a bond with him. And then he comes in and did the whole thing. And then it was my weird first celebration, basically, because of my wife's birthday date was really her birthday there. So I told him, I said, hey, it's her birthday. Like,
Right.
hook us up, but don't tell her for sure because she'll say no. And he like was down on one knee singing like Italian. It was awesome, and he was really good, really really good. And my wife, of course, was embarrassed, but really really loved it. And then when they were done, of course, the whole restaurant's going nuts. It was a lot of fun, great experience. So you liked the Chops Grill as well, and did you like your meal, the ribeye?
The ribeye.
The ribeye
as
I thought
said,
it was amazing.
I was a little confused, not confused. So they had a sauce over it that was not the
Wasn't your
exactly
favorite.
it
So you would do sauce on the side next time.
I would have put sauce on the side.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
all.
And that's fine, and that's up to everybody's preference. Like, yeah, because they will come around. It's it's meant to be like a New York steakhouse, right? So they're going to come around and they'll have sauces. They'll come around with a sauce, and you can pick whatever one you want, or say no, or whatever you want.
Right.
So you learn as you go, and now like with that, just put it on the side or whatever. Now that was I'm assuming that was your thing there. So what other specialty restaurants did you go to?
Izumi. That's a
Izumi,
sushi
okay.
place.
Okay. How'd you like that?
That was interesting because it was on the promenade.
The Royal Promenade. You got it.
Promenade.
We'll get this going here, folks.
Okay,
We're a little tired after Thanksgiving.
Okay, it was on the promenade. So it was like going to the mall and going to a nice restaurant that's on the mall, in the mall.
Yeah, and that's true. Actually, the Adventure of the Seas, it's kind of unique, or it is unique, I guess. The Adventure of the Seas is the only Royal Caribbean cruise ship. They all have Izumi. That's a staple for Royal Caribbean. But the Adventure of the Seas actually has it in the Royal Promenade, like my dad said. So there is a you go down the main drag, there's all the shops and pubs and whatever. But this one, it's open, and it's open too. It's not closed off. So where we were sitting, we were right in the corner of where you would be. Your backs were to the promenade right there. Like you go over a little wall and you're right in the promenade. So definitely while we're eating, 2 doors down, or across the hall, 2 doors down, like diagonally, was one of the pubs, and they had like a live singer or band or whatever playing, and you could hear it. I loved it because I thought it was cool because it made you feel like you were part of the festivities and you're kind of eating sushi and it was cool, whatever. Now, in my dad's, like my dad said, if you're going there for a romantic, I want the experience and I want the lighting and I want that is not the place for you. Izumi on other cruise ships of Royal Caribbean is exactly like that. It's more intimate, I would say.
On a previous cruise that we booked with J-Cation,
shameless plug,
was a very nice venue for Izumi, which was on the top of the ship, overlooking the front of the ship, or the front, whatever you... Yeah. Overlooking
the forward
with the
part.
lights, and it was at night, and it was... There weren't rows of tables. There were nice 4-top tables all around, but it wasn't just like that mall.
Well, that's a good
atmosphere.
point, because the one on Adventure didn't have windows. You're right, it did, because you were actually probably staterooms on the other side, or I have to look at a map to see, but yeah, you're right, because you're actually in the middle of the ship, so you're looking either out at the promenade or a wall. I mean, there's artwork. It looked nice. They did a good job, but I see what you're saying. Yeah, it definitely doesn't have the ambience. Royal Oasis class ships, I know, are like that, where it's up top. It's, I want to say deck 15. I'm not sure, but it's up there. And on some of the newer ships, they have it. The newer ships actually have a neat concept where it's like Izumi, like a regular restaurant, and then this is on the Wonder icon, and I think Utopia does have it, and it'll probably be coming out soon on all the other ships, where they also have a walk-up window in Central Park, where you can go to Central Park, walking through the forest, whatever, of Central Park, and be like, let me get a tuna roll, and they'll hand you a tuna roll, and you just walk off. And of course, you pay for it, but it's not like you go sit down. It's not formal. It's not. I agree. Formality wise, I would never go there in that situation. If you're looking for a nice date night or something like that, no. If you're looking for a noisy night, you want to be part of the party, great. That works out perfectly.
It had nothing to do with a date night or formal night or
I don't think
anything.
you. Okay, go ahead.
It just was not. It was eating in a mall.
It seemed more casual to you.
It was too casual.
Okay.
It was like like a restaurant at a mall.
Okay.
You know,
I mean,
tables by the wall and through all that thing. It's just
it didn't do it for you. You wouldn't do it again if you
not.
if you went on that ship again. Would you do that again?
No.
Okay. And I have to agree with that too. And one thing I noticed, and it may have been on other cruises. I've been to Azumi and lots of other cruise ships. I don't remember this, so I don't know if this is a Adventure of the Seas thing. If this is something they've changed with their menu. I don't know. The sushi itself was good. There were some flavors, obviously, I liked. I love sushi,
Right.
first off. There are some flavors I like better than others. That's to be expected anywhere you go, right? But the quality of the sushi, great. No problem. The one thing I didn't like personally was, as we all know, or our sushi snobs know, sushi rolls are normally cut into 8 pieces. Occasionally there's some 6 ones, but normally they're 8 pieces. These are the big sushi too. These are like the big like 2-inch ones or whatever. So they're big pieces. But they only gave you 4 pieces. What they called a roll was 4 pieces. To which me, I definitely, knowing that after we ordered, I would not have used my one of my specialty dinings, for instance.
Mhm.
I would have gone to Chops again or something and got like full service steak, like that whole ambiance thing. I would have paid, because you're
Just
you're
order
getting it.
something
Yeah, you
else.
go wherever you want. You don't pay. It's not like once you buy the package, you use it wherever you want. You can go to Chops 3 times if you want. To me, that was more well worth it spent money than the Izumi with the mall, like you said, like the mall experience, and then the fact that you're like, oh, I ordered 3 rolls of sushi or 2 rolls of sushi, and you're like, oh, cool, and then you're like, oh, 2 rolls of sushi. Oh, you just gave me 1 roll, but you called it 2 rolls, and so that got a little annoying. I didn't think it was a great super value there. I do not know if now, because since they did this menu change, that's the first ship I've been on since the menu change, and I don't know if that's something that's just a Adventure of the Seas thing, or if it just had to do with the menu change or what. So just something, and that's easily, now I know when I go, if I were to go, is to be like, hey, how many pieces are in your rolls? And if it's
a good
not what I,
thing to
if I
ask.
not, yeah, if it's not what I like, then
It's a-
then just say thanks, thank
something to
you. I'll
ask.
go to somewhere else.
Something to ask.
All right. So let me see. I'm sorry, I lost my place here on here. All right, so let's go down now. We're going back to the free stuff that's free at Royal Caribbean here. So there was a Sorrento's pizza on board. Did you ever go there? And then what did you think?
I think it was perfect. It was surprising because we didn't actually be looking for it, but we found that in this coffee shop, or next to the coffee shop
Cafe Promenade.
on the promenade, was a long line of people waiting for something. Okay, so we asked what's the, they said pizza. No, I said, oh, this is nice. It's a nice midday snack. So we stood in line. There was a line because it was excellent pizza. When you went up to it, they gave you the 1 piece or 2 pieces.
You can ask whatever you want.
You can
yeah.
ask for whatever you want. It was right there. They gave it. They had places to sit. You had the drinks right there. The
Water,
iced
the
tea,
juices,
water, the lemonade,
flavored water, all that stuff. Yeah.
all that stuff. It was fine. But there were ample places to sit. I mean, you could sit out on the promenade,
Yeah.
but you can also sit inside. You can also go back for more pizza if you
Or
want.
go to your room and take it to your room.
Or
and
take
stuff.
it to your room or whatever it is. But the bottom line of it was that it was excellent.
Yeah, that's the one thing. My wife and I, we've been on a ton of Oasis class ships, and then a couple of these ones which are Voyager class. The one thing we noticed on the Voyager class, in our opinion, and all Royal Caribbean cruise ships, to my knowledge, have Sorrento's pizza. The what my dad's talking about is like on a Oasis class ship, you'll have a cafe promenade, which has all your coffees and your 24-hour little mini sandwich cut snacks and all that
Hmm.
cookies and all that stuff, right? And then separately next to it, they'll have a Sorrento's pizza. And it's a separate unit and it does its same thing. On the smaller ships, because they obviously don't have as much space because it's a smaller ship, they combine it. So Sorrento's is a desk part where you walk up, but it's in the promenade as opposed to it being its own separate thing. Um, I did feel that on both this one and the Mariner, which are both Voyager class ships, that the Sorrento pizzas were dramatically better than I had on the Oasis class. I don't know if that's just how it was cooked or whatever, but it seemed like it was so much better. And I did notice the lines. Like you said, the ship is smaller, so the promenade, the hallway part, if you want to call it, it's narrower. It's not narrow, but it's narrower than on a Oasis class ship. So when that pizza, when a show lets out, theater show ends. Everybody goes upstairs, and of course they're hungry. They've been sitting in a show for 2 hours, so a lot of people get in line for the pizzas. That's when I noticed the lines on the Mariner, and that's when I noticed lines on the Adventure. Was when something ended. There's always a little bit of a line, but that's when you start seeing it kind of wrap around a little bit, and it kind of then you all start blocking the hallway where people that want to go through, they have to kind of cut through your line. Not a big deal. They do a great job moving quickly through the pizza stuff because
They have
multiple people
pizzas.
making pizzas, and they're
They're
always bringing out.
always
The
making.
other trick there too is that a lot of people don't know. You can go up to Sorrento's Pizza, and you can say, "Hey, can I get I don't know, a sausage pizza, sausage and pep pizza?" And they'll say, "Sure." And they'll make you a special pizza, put it in a box, like a pizza box, like you would get delivered, and you can then take it to your room. You can eat it there if you want to, but they'll make you your own pizza. Now they're not. It's not gonna be. You might have to wait 10 minutes or whatever, but they have someone back there always making pizza, and they'll be like, "Oh, what does he want? Oh yeah, no problem." And they'll no charge. That's awesome. So that's another little tip too, especially if you have the kids, who of course like kids love like cheese pizzas. You'd be like, "Hey, can I get a cheese pizza to go?" Like, yeah, let us make it for you. Do you mind just staying over there? We'll get it out to you as soon as we can.
Well, this was midday, which
So it wasn't a show necessarily.
there wasn't anything else going on. It was just midday, and people. This was after lunch, before dinner. This was something to have, and obviously there was a lot of kids, teenagers there. But the point was that this was just a snack.
Okay.
In addition to the solarium that also had pizza and other things available for snacks
Up in that
and
area.
lunch,
Okay.
but for snacks as well. And that's up there was they had time frames for lunch or
Okay.
for snacks.
Okay.
But the one downstairs on the promenade it appeared to be that it was open all the time.
Yeah, I think it goes to like 3 or 4 in the morning, and then they shut off for a few hours, and then it comes. But it's pretty much for most people, it's all the time because most people aren't up that late.
Yeah.
How now? Now we're gonna switch subjects here real quick. One of Royal Caribbean's famous things, obviously, and most people know, besides being a family-friendly environment, is they're very world famous for their entertainment on board. Comparatively to other cruise lines, by the People's Choice Awards and stuff like that. How would you rate their entertainment on board the Adventure of the Seas?
My wife believes it's a 10 out of 10. She loved the ice show, surprisingly, on a ship in a confined area. I mean, for them to do all the tricks and all the show tunes as well, it was quite a feat. And the ice show is excellent. In the theater that they use for evening shows, but they also use it for bingo and for other activities. The theater shows are adequate. They're very nice. They're usually pared down. These are not big Broadway shows.
Right, these aren't your full. Yeah, because that's one of the, depending on how you look at it, right? Depending on what you like. Oasis class ships are going to have the Broadway style musicals. So it's kind of, if you like that kind of stuff, like I like certain musicals and stuff like that, you're going to really experience that, and that's free. So, you go to New York or something, you're going to pay X amount of dollars for those tickets per person. We're on a Royal Caribbean ship, you go there, it's free. It's part of your fare that you've already paid for. And it's really nice. They do a great job with those. On the smaller ships, they don't have as big of a stage. Obviously, they don't have as much room, as we said about with everything. So they do more of a smaller version of, not necessarily a Broadway show, but they'll do like different acts, like you said, like musical acts and dance acts, and singer acts, comedian acts, stuff like that.
A lot of these places do variations of Grease.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily the play or the musical grease, but they have the rock and roll music, or they do songs from that era.
Mhm.
Um, they're they're fine. I mean, it's a show. It's up. People are dancing in the seats. They do a fine job, as well as the other things during the day, such as there's a trivia contest. There's a name that tune contest. Brings a lot of people down. A lot of people are playing. It's it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, they also have one of my favorite things is Schooner Bar, I believe. I'm trying to make sure I'm
Yes,
saying this right.
Schooner.
Schooner Bar. I love the Schooner Bar because in the evenings they have a piano guy. Um, and or I guess it could be a girl too, but the ones I went it was a piano guy, and he will play the piano and he'll play requests. Obviously, he knows a lot of music, and he'll play requests, and then he'll sing too. So it's actually really cool. Like me and my wife really enjoy those. And you'll go and different singers obviously sing different styles of music, right? But they can all do it, and it's funny hearing like a hard rock song, like I don't know, "Welcome to the Jungle" or "Sweet Child of Mine," like something like that from Guns N' Roses, which is all electric guitars, and hearing some guy belt it out with the piano.
Yeah.
It's quite impressive that they can do that. In my opinion, just watching people play that and change the music and not, but they make it hardcore even though it's on the piano and they're not. It's not like they're doing all synthesizer or playing guitar stuff. Anyway, I thought it was really cool. Those are one of my favorite shows, and that's actually one of my favorite bars on the ship too, because I like certain drinks they have there. Because all the bars usually have a unique drink that's unique to just that bar, which is kind of cool. If if there's certain things you find that you like. I have to agree with my dad. I really like the shows. Even though you don't have a Broadway style musical type thing, you don't have that level of production. They still do a really good job on their other productions. They really recruit top athletes, top performers, top comedians, stuff like that to do these things. So you're not getting your run of the mill C grade level blah 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 to do these things. I guess that's all up to judgment, but I found they're really good. I played ice hockey growing up, so of course I love watching the ice shows because I, although I never did obviously figure skating or anything like that, I know how hard it is to skate um, in an ice rink, let alone something that's probably a quarter size of the ice rink, and you're on a moving ship. Because the whole time you have to remember, even though you might not realize it, most of the time you don't even notice it. The ship's rocking a little bit, and they're doing trip flips and spinning in the air and coming down and net. Well, knock on wood. I don't think I've never been to one where they like break their ankles or anything like that. Like so, like to do some of the tricks they do while the ship's moving, it's just very impressive, and I think they always do a good job with that. So that was my favorite venue. What would you say your favorite entertainment venue was? Kind of mentioned a whole different.
Well, the ice show is an interesting thing only because of the size and the type of production they are. Obviously, the theater is when they do a production show, which is like I mentioned, like Grease style,
Yes,
but
yeah.
they have the cars in there and they have everything else going on. The other thing is that throughout the ship, where they have these bars, they also have many of they have their own singers and pl- um, musicians.
Musicians, yeah, yeah.
However, on some occasions, they will bring out the featured singers and dancers from the theater production to do also a short show, or in many cases in the atrium, which is in the main area. They will have places where people can dance as well as listen to a different quality of music and of musicianship.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's a good thing to pay attention to your compass, your cruise compass. That's your daily planner, so to speak, that tells you what everything's going, where everything's going on during the day. You can in your app on your phone. That's the best thing when you get on this cruise ship. Put it in airplane mode, turn on your Wi-Fi, and even if you didn't buy the internet package and you put your phone on airplane and turn on the Wi-Fi, it's going to allow you to see like the compass and stuff like that on their app because they want you to do that. They don't want to waste paper and print money and all that stuff, or print paper spending money. You also have it in your room, in your stateroom on the TVs. You can look at stuff, and they'll announce stuff all over the cruise too. And if you do want a paper cruise compass, your old school want like that kind of thing. You tell your room
Yes,
store
services.
they will but you can tell your room store and he'll bring it to your room every
Yeah,
day.
that's true.
They can get that for you. Or guest services, like my dad said. Anytime you're walking downstairs, it's on deck 5. You go down there, you pass guest services, grab one for the day, and then you have
Yeah.
it. You can do that too. So whatever way we want. But that's a good point to bring that up too. Um, let's see here. Now let's go on to the next one here. I know I'm going to answer this for you. One of the questions I always ask people is, how many people were on board? I can tell you this one was very, if not 100%, it was very close to 100%. Didn't seem overcrowded. They do one of the Royal Caribbean's biggest things they do better than I think a lot of other cruise lines, in my opinion, is they really disperse stuff. They make so many activities at different levels and different ends of the ships that even though I mean I've been on a Oasis class ship, which holds like more than probably about double what was on this ship here today that we went on. Um, and it doesn't seem like that. People are on the ship. I'm not saying you don't know there's no one else. It's not like you're walking around, there's no one in the room, but they do a very good job at spreading you out and making things that are fun to do on all ends of the ship, and sports deck and upstairs and theater shows and casino and ice rink. And that's the other thing with the ice rink too. You can go skating too. So if you're I like to go skating on the cruise ships. It's just kind of a fun experience to say you skated in the middle Atlantic.
Actually, as this was the 50th anniversary and your 10th anniversary,
correct.
We were there at the wedding, which was 10 years ago on the
ours?
Yeah.
That was on the Allure.
The Allure. Okay. That was 6,000 people on the ship.
Yeah, a little more, yeah.
Okay. However,
it's 6,000. It's 6,000 guests. It's 6,000 guests. Sorry about that little mic issue. 6,000. I think it's like 6,500 guests, but then there's crew. It's about 10,000 people total.
The point was that my wife and I could not realize that there were 10,000 people on the ship.
Yeah.
It was able to walk around. It was not crowded, but there were, that we know of, 6,000 people there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it was 6,000 guests. Yeah, you'll see it because they do a good job, especially on the Oasis class, and they do it a little bit on the smaller ships too, because they have a little bit of room, but they have the different locations. Like they have as we talked about, they'll have the Royal Promenade area. They'll have Central. If you go on a Oasis class ship, they're gonna have Central Park. They're gonna have the boardwalk area. So all sorts of, and I'm not gonna go through them all because that's not what we're talking about here. But they have a lot of areas to pull people around to make and because a lot of people on the hot days, of course, they want to go up to the pool deck. Well, if you're not a pool deck guy, that eliminates probably half the people right there. And so you can kind of do other things. So there's lots of fun stuff to do. And then on the pool deck, even what's really cool on the Adventure class, or Voyager class, I should say, Adventure Seas, you go to the pool deck. Obviously, that's going to be your packed pool deck area. There's plenty of seats around. You can always find a seat. You just might get it. If you want one right by the pool, you're one of those weird people, then have fun with that. But you can always find a seat somewhere. I personally like the ones that are under the awning a little bit, so you get a little bit of shade. But also on these class ships, which is interesting, is you go up top above the pool deck, there's a whole nother level up there. And now these are no shade, just baked like a lobster up there. But there are tons and tons of lounges up there.
Yep.
Tons of stuff. Yeah. And if you don't care about shade, that's a great place to go up there and sit for a little while. I'd be careful up there because you could get baked, but a great place to sit. There's barely anybody up there because it is hot up there. But you do get the breeze from being up top and stuff like that. So if you want a little bit, and it's also a little bit quieter because you're not right next to the pool hearing the kids and everybody doing their hustle bustle. So it's a nice little thing too. And I like that they do that on this class of ships here. Now let's talk about smoking situation, because a lot of people like to know this. Royal Caribbean still does allow casinos, smoking in the casino. So how was the smoking situation, in your opinion, around or in the casino?
We didn't spend a lot of time in the casino, but to get to the theater from the dining room, you had to walk through the casino to get to the theater. Obviously, it's a smoke-free facility until you get to the casino. As soon as you take a step in, then you notice that there was smoke going on. Some days it was worse than the others, only because of the type of people in there or how many people were there. You walked through the casino, you stepped out of the casino, and all of a sudden, the smoke is gone.
Yeah, I agree. We went on the Mariner.
It was contained in the casino for some reason.
Yeah, they did a great job, because when we went on the Mariner, like I said, same class. This was a couple years ago, I guess. And the schooner bar was right off the casino. So if you came out of the casino, it's a hallway. It's doors they can close, but they're open because they're fire doors, so they stay open unless obviously there's some problem. And there were chairs and tables all the way back to the entrance to the casino. And then, of course, as you go further up, further up, further up, then it opens up to the bar, and then you see the piano and the guys singing up there, right? And then it opens up to an opening there, which is the same thing as Adventure was the exact same setup. On Adventure, if you sat in those way back chairs that are, you can't see the piano guy really, but you can definitely hear him fine. But you can't really see him back there. I didn't smell any smoke, and you're right at the door to the casino. I didn't smell anything. On Mariner back there, you're like, ugh, like if you're not a smoke person, you noticed it. It was to the point where on that cruise when we went on, I don't know, maybe they have different smoke eaters or they were using some different something, because on that one, those four tables in the back were normally vacant. No one was sitting there. Because of that, I think people would go there, sit down, be like, nope, and they would get up and go try to find a place closer. So that's good. They did a good job with that. That's good. On the newer ships that Royal Caribbean is building now, Utopia has it, Icon has it. I want to say Wonder has it. They have two casinos. One is the regular smoke, and it's half smoke, half not, and you left side, right side, whatever that thing. The other one is a smaller casino upstairs on a different floor, and that is a fully non-smoking casino. So now, granted, it's smaller. It's probably just, it's not going to have all the cool games, and might have a couple tables instead of like 20 tables or whatever down there. So it's limited to what you can do there. But there's never anybody smoking there. They can't. I personally, I used to be a smoker, but I quit that a long time ago. I wish Royal Caribbean would move on in life, and I know that's giving away half the revenue to a point, but. Whatever. That's just a personal opinion. I wish they'd get rid of it, but that's good to hear at least that on this ship, and I noticed it too. I agree with you. Other than the casino, and then like you said, sometimes you walk through the casino, it's fine. It just depends on who's in there and stuff and whatever. But they do have smoke eaters in there, and I think they did a very good job on this ship with that. Now let's get into the ports of call on this cruise. Now on this cruise, I know you said you went to Honduras, Belize, Cozumel, and Perfect Day. So let's kind of go over each port one at a time and just give me, obviously we're going to go about, I'll tell you the port, and I want you to tell me a highlight of that port, and let's just kind of, just your favorite thing at that port, and we'll kind of go into it from there. So let's start with Honduras. What was your feeling with Honduras? How did that work?
Honduras, when we came off the ship, we just went to the port area and looked around. We found out that to get to Roatan, which is the city or the town,
like the town center, basically.
The town center,
yeah,
was 20 minutes away. Well, the area around the port wasn't in that great condition itself. It just didn't invite us to go further into Honduras, into Roatan. So we decided, we saw it, we went around it, and then came back to the ship.
Okay, yeah, and for our family, we did not get off on Honduras. We have been to Honduras for excursions for. In fact, my wife and I went to this. Well, no, that's not true. Now it's our number 2, but at the time it was our number 1 excursion ever. Was actually in Honduras. Honduras is definitely, you see some poverty there, which is sad to see and stuff like that. But they did a really good job on the excursion when it was a snorkel lobster thing. It was really cool. We really enjoyed it. On this particular cruise, we were actually looking to do that exact same excursion and take our daughter this time because we're like, it was kind of a beach day snorkeling. It was a big mix of things. It was really fun. And you got to see iguanas and all this cool stuff. It was really fun. So we're like, oh, she would love that. And Royal didn't have it. So I don't know what happened to it. I don't know, what changed or whatever. But that was one of those things where they didn't have it. Also, as a lot of as a travel agent, I also am affiliated with Viator, which is a third-party company. You see commercials for them all on TV, so they're nationally known. Any country you go to, click on my link. You'll see it on my page and stuff. But if not, just email me. I'll send it to you. You can type in any city in the whole world, and it'll tell you excursions they run in those cities. Even your hometown, even you live in, I don't know, you go to Washington D.C. and type in Washington D.C. and on Friday it will tell you they're not ship excursions, but you can just go do whatever, right?
Right.
So they didn't even have anything that really made me and my family go like, that would be really fun to spend money on that versus spending money elsewhere. So we ended up staying on the ship. My wife and I normally on a 3-port cruise. Most 7-night cruises have 3 ports. This one had 4. We always stay on the ship for at least 1, where we can experience the ship more and go around because everybody gets off and you can you go to the solarium or whatever in the pool. You're there by yourself or with one couple and it's really nice and relaxing. And then everybody comes back and then you kind of like, all right, cool, let's get out of here. And then you go do something else, or if you want to or whatever, right? It's nice. Definitely don't have trouble getting beach chairs or pool chairs right that day, right? So that was one of the days we decided to stay for that reason only. But you had your reason there. Now the second stop was Belize. I'm going to start on this one. For Belize, I had messed up my leg before we went on the cruise a little bit. So on this one, that is a tendered port, meaning you're going to have to get off your cruise ship in the middle of the ocean onto a tender boat, and then the tender boat takes you whatever 5 minutes, 10 minutes to
It's
shore.
not exactly a middle of the
Well,
ocean.
no, I don't mean you're like in the back, but you can whatever. You're not at a dock, is what I'm saying.
Right.
And they do a good job with it. Don't get me wrong; it's totally safe. That's not what I meant. But it's one of the ones where the cruise ship, even the Adventure Seas, which is a smaller cruise ship, that they don't have a port that can handle that ship. You can't just pull into a dock. They don't have a dock set up for that. So that's why they do it that way. Now with that, like I said, my leg was bummed. So I stayed on the ship because I was not interested in trying to do some transfer in the middle of the water thing. So I wasn't interested in that. So I stayed on the boat and I worked instead when my family went on there. But you actually went out there with them, and tell us about your experience in Belize.
We wanted to go to Belize because we've heard so much about it, that it was a vacation spot. It was a destination for a lot of celebrities, for rich sultans or whoever,
Sure.
to go to this area. So we wanted to see what was so interesting about Belize. We got off the ship, walked into the town, a little bit town,
Sure.
and found a guide who happened to be very good at what he did. Took us all around the island, explained things, talked about this, talked about that, talked about the culture of the area, and it was very informative. He was pointing at many of the homes that he considered celebrity caliber, which did not seem that fancy, but it's, everything is relative. So in this case, Belize didn't meet our expectation, but I'm sure it was fine. But the trip around, the guide was very good. My daughter-in-law and granddaughter enjoyed it, hopefully.
Yeah, they
And
did.
we
They did.
and we had a nice time. I mean, we saw the whole island, which is basically what you want to do on
Sure.
these trips. And that's what we did.
Now, here's the question though: if you went on another cruise that stopped at Belize, would you get off again?
I'm not sure what else is on Belize that
So you're open to it. You just don't know.
I'm open, but
Okay.
if something else is there, yes.
Okay.
But otherwise, I thought we saw everything.
Okay, that's fair. That's totally fair. All right. So the next one, I'll start off this one as well because I have a little part to do here. Next one was Cozumel. You've been to Cozumel before. We've been to Cozumel
Yes.
lots of times. Cozumel's awesome. This was actually shameless plug again for Viator. Book through J-Cation, obviously. But this was my daughter's most favorite thing about this cruise. Like before we went on the cruise, I was like, "What are you most excited about?" We had a couple different excursions we were kind of playing around with, as maybe we'll do this here, maybe we'll do this here, maybe we could do the blah blah blah. My daughter was like, we narrowed it down to let's say 3 or 4. I don't remember. And she's like, I'm like, okay, A, do you like A? I could do it or not do it. It doesn't. B, do it or not do it. C, do it or not do it. D, yes, I'm pumped to go on this. And it was at Cozumel. Give a shout out to Trikes Cozumel. This was a trike bike cruise booked through Viator. Royal Caribbean did not have this. So this is an instance where, if you just did through Royal Caribbean, you wouldn't even know about this. Or you could do your own research, obviously. But this was through Viator. The difference between booking with Viator and via Royal Caribbean, when you book through them, they are going to guarantee that if your bus or something like that breaks down and they're bringing you back, that the ship will wait until you get there to leave. Within reason. If it's going to be like a 4-hour delay, they're going to head off, but they will pay for your travel to fly you to the next place to get on the ship again. If you book through a third party and something goes wrong with a third party, and the boat's leaving at 4:00, if you're on it or not, they don't care. They already got your money. Now, that being said, some people get scared by that idea, but I tell people to use common sense. In Cozumel, I don't remember the exact time, but I'm going to say we were there from like 8 to 5 or 7 to 5 or something like that. We booked this excursion where it must have been 7 to 5. We booked this excursion where we met the Trikes Cozumel staff at the Hard Rock Cafe, so it wasn't hard to find this thing. It's right across the street from the port there. We met them at 8 o'clock. The thing is about 4.5 hours, roughly, right? You can customize it a little bit, but it's roughly about 4.5 hours. The ship leaves at 5. You're on the trike bike at, you're there at 8 o'clock. You are not, you could break down at noon and walk back to the port before 5 o'clock if you had to, worst case scenario. And of course, there's cabs everywhere, and you'd be able to get away. You'd be able to find some way to get you back, and probably the tour people would be able to call somebody for you.
You have to explain it's not a trike bike. It's a motorcycle.
Well, yeah. Well, I call it. Okay, I used to sell motorcycles, so that's why I call it a trike bike. It is a 3-wheeled motorcycle. It is a 1 wheel in the front, 2 wheels in the back, like a tricycle. That's why they call it nickname is a trike bike. But it is a motorcycle. These are real motorcycles. They go. I mean, I definitely got mine up to 70 miles an hour. So these are real motorcycles. These are not tampered down and stuff like that with a governor or something for speed. These are real bikes. You can have fun. They're very stable because you're on 3 wheels. I mean, can you flip a trike bike? Of course, but you have to really try. I mean, these are low center of gravity vehicles, and they're wide tires in the back. These are not your normal bike tires in the back and stuff like that. It's almost like a little go-kart / thing. It's really fun. One person drives, obviously. The other two sit on like a carriage type bench seat thing in the back, which is comfortable. Of course, you have seat belts. That actually surprised me because Mexico, I didn't know if they'd actually have seat belts. You do wear a helmet. They do mandate helmets, which, hey, applause to. I don't know if that's a Mexican law or law in Mexico or just the company covering their butts. But either way, you got great safety, no issues with anything. We booked that through Viator, like I said, because Royal didn't have it. Also, the benefit of Viator, Royal Caribbean, let's say excursion's $100. Royal Caribbean might be paid out of that $150 to $20, somewhere in there, right? Is going just to Royal Caribbean. The company's making only the other 50, 60, whatever it is, right? With Viator, it's going to be cheaper. If you book through Viator, things are going to be cheaper because you're not paying that extra company. So you're cutting costs. So that's another thing to think about. If you're comfortable doing so. If your boat leaves at 5, would I recommend taking something with them that goes till 3? I would do it because I wouldn't be worried about it, but you just use your own judgment there. If you get there, just go in the morning. You'll never have any issues with it. And I highly recommend Trikes Cozumel. I want to give them a little shout out because they were awesome to us. We were there. There were 5 of us, so we had 2 bikes. So that's 2 bikes. So you can max put 3 on a bike. You can do single rider too, but it's max 3 on a bike. So we had 5 of us, and there was only one other couple that came. It was a mother and a daughter.
Right.
They were from our cruise ship. They also, I guess they booked through Viator. I didn't ask them where they booked through, but they didn't book through Royal Caribbean because you couldn't. And they were the only ones there. And actually, when we got picked up, the Hard Rock Cafe, they send a van, a limo van, not limo, a cab van, but it's a big van that picks you up. It's air conditioned and everything. They barely made it there on time. So had they missed it, I don't know if they would have gone and got them later. I don't know how their business works, but it was almost possible that just my family was on this tour, which is another reason. And they were very nice, and we all became friends by the end of it because you're sitting with talking the whole time. We really almost had a private tour for half the price of what a Royal Caribbean. So that's what I'm saying. Like Royal Caribbean, you're going to go on like a snorkel tour. You're going to be there with 100 people. If you go on with the Cozumel one, you might go with 20 or 10 or 5.
It was a very economical.
Yeah, it's a great way, and they were.
It was not overpriced.
No, and I paid. You pay through Viator. Use your credit card, right? They immediately send you messages. Like I immediately got messages from, and now they're in Mexico. They're in a totally another country,
Right.
and they I guess they know how to translate and speak in English because they did a really good job. I asked them questions. Hey, where do we meet? What time do we need to be there? They gave me the name. They gave me an address, which obviously in Mexico is a different format than what we use in the United States. But I just kept all that stuff because I know I need that. They gave me I said, hey, can I have a phone number in case something happens? We can't find you. Can you give me a phone number? And I'll figure that out when we need to, if that happens. And they were cool with everything and picked us up right on time. Boom. Everything went great. Yeah. They give you a little safety lesson. Every person that's driving, of course, you have to have insurance. We had all insurance from the United States, but I'm assuming any country. And then you have to show them your insurance card. And then they take you out one at a time. Well, groups, but one at a time. You each drive the trike with a person on board. And they make sure you're comfortable with everything, show you how to use everything. And then when you get going, there's a guide, 2 guides. They're on one trike bike. One is driving, of course, and the other guy is in the back seat, turned towards you the whole time. This is the other big thing with a lot of excursions, try to nickel and dime you. they will take pictures
Yeah.
the entire time you're riding. Like they're going 70 miles an hour, and that nut job in the back is like standing up, facing you, taking photos. And it's great because a lot of places do that stuff, sure. But at the end, you all know what's coming. They're going to offer you a photo package, or do you want a stick with all the photos on it for $100, or do you want us to print you some photos, or here's this picture for $20, right? They don't do this here. What Trikes Cozumel does is they take all the pictures. And when you're stopped, if you want to take a picture with your camera, of course they'll do that, or your iPhone. Now everybody uses those now. But they will take all your pictures, and at the very end, a couple days later, actually we had it on. It was one of the days on the cruise, so it was a couple days later. They put them all up on their Facebook page. So if you go to Trikes Cozumel Facebook, all those pictures are on there. You can click on them, save them, print them, do whatever the heck you want. There's no watermarks on them or anything. And that's a great thing because you're not only getting all that, but you're getting action photo. And they do everybody. So they know like in our situation, like my dad's leg at one point was bothering him. So I went back and drove for them. So I switched. Right. And then Heather wanted to drive. So I was like, yeah, why don't you drive? So that's my wife, Heather. So she wanted to drive. So I was like, all right. Because at first she was like, yeah, I don't know. And then she was like, yeah, let's drive. So you drive and I'll go ride with my parents. And so we just split. They don't care. And then now they know Heather's driving. So of course they're taking all the action photos. So Heather's getting as many pictures as she might want. And they do a great job with all that. And then you stop at we stopped at like I'm going to say, lack of better terms, like a little diner thing on the beach. Got a little soda to kind of chill for a little bit, stretch your legs, that kind of thing. And then we stopped at this is all paid for in the tour. Then you stop at an actual restaurant. It was really good. They have really good food. I think you had to pay for you got certain things for free. The food was included, but if you wanted like alcohol, drinks, different things like that, you could pay for that. The
lunch was included.
Yeah, the lunch part was included, but they'll tell you like, oh, you can get this one chicken or fish, or you can get, but if you want steak, whatever, you have to pay extra. But it was fine. The stuff they gave you was awesome. The salsa was amazing. And it was really fun.
It was hot.
Oh yeah, it's really hot. It's good food and spicy because you're in Mexico. This is real stuff. And then they took us to a tequila factory where you get to see, distillery, I should say, maybe. And they show you that. You get to try free samples, and of course they're nice enough to let you buy it should you like to buy their kind. But that was cool too, just to see how it's made and learn some history there and talk to the locals a little bit. And then at the end they take you you're going around the whole island, so like halfway through your trip there's nothing but sand and grass. I mean, like Cozumel is built up at Cozumel, but when you go on the other side of Cozumel, there's nothing there. You could go like a mile and not see people.
Beaches and,
that's it.
Water.
That's it. Yeah, there's no building. I mean, there's very few little buildings. There's definitely no hotels back there. There's no it's not built up like where there's in America where they'd have like 7 Holiday Inns or whatever. It's not like that. So it's really cool. So you got to go around the island. Like I said, you're going different straightaways. You can get up to 70 miles an hour. There's no one on the road. And occasionally you might see a bike or something going by, but barely anything there. And then you eventually come back through the main strip. So you're driving on the main thoroughfare of Cozumel, which that was a little intimidating because you're like, Jesus, because they drive like nut jobs there. It's awesome. I love Cozumel. They are just brave how they drive. But then you eventually pull back in to the parking lot, which is right behind the Hard Rock Cafe. Yep. You get off the bike. They wish you well. They have waters for you too. They'll give you waters. Yep. I mean, they really take care of you there. And they're really cool. And then when you're done, you just walk across the street. You're at the port. Walk in there
and walk back
on your ship, and you're good to go. It was honestly the best excursion I've ever done. That the Honduras one was number one before this. This was the best to the point where we're going on another cruise, and I always try to go on another cruise. And anytime I go to Cozumel, I want to book that again because it was that much fun. Because my daughter loved it because you're breeze blowing in your hair because it's hot. It's hot in Cozumel. And I did notice, I will say, make sure you drink. They had waters. We brought waters. Make sure I would probably next time bring, like Mio drops or liquid IV stuff. We brought that on the cruise. We had it with us. We forgot to bring it to Cozumel. Dumb move on our part. I would next time bring that so that I'm more hydrated. You just pour it in your water and shake it and it tastes like whatever. And it's like Gatorade, like powdered Gatorade stuff. Because I definitely felt like at the end, I felt dehydrated. Like walking back to the ship, I remember I felt like I was going to pass out. Not because it was a long walk or anything, but because
it was hot.
Because I remember like even walking through the port area there when you go through all the shops and stuff before you get to the area where you walk in. I remember seeing a couple of people and they looked at me And they're like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good.
Oh,
I,
that's
I
true.
just got to
That's
get
true.
going." Like they could tell. I was like, I probably was on the verge of like heat exhaustion.
Yep.
Because you're in the blazing sun all day. There's obviously no shade on a motorcycle. And then you're,
Okay, I
not drinking
remember
enough
that.
fluid and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
but it
we
was really
sat down
fun.
in one of the shaded areas.
Yeah, so it was
They
really
gave
fun.
you water and
Yeah, I got
food
right.
there.
Yeah, I had a couple things of water. We had some in the bag left over, so
Yep.
I grabbed those, chugged those, made it on the ship, and
Okay.
like my daughter. Yeah. So anyway, we're good to go. All right. So let's see here. So we did that protocol. Next one was the big one, which is world famous for Royal Caribbean, which was Perfect Day at Coco Cay. You said you'd been to that before they revitalized the island. What did you think about Perfect Day
Now it's
now?
a perfect place at Perfect Day.
Okay.
It's much bigger than I saw it originally because there's more to do. There's a lot more recreation area, a lot more pools, a lot more just areas. I don't remember if they had rides or water sports.
They do. You have to pay. You have at Perfect
Oh,
Day.
there was a
Cook-
place.
Yeah,
There was
there's two island. There's two. There's one island. When you go there, there's left and right. It'll say chill and thrill.
Yeah.
Chill is mostly free
Okay.
stuff, which is what we were doing because that's all. I don't need to pay extra money. You're already on a cruise. They do have a thrill slide. If you're one of those people that likes, they have the tallest water slide in North America there.
Okay.
All that stuff you have to pay the park pass. It's something like 120 to 180 a person. It's
Okay.
pretty expensive, but there you get like they have a wave pool over there. They have drop slide, all sorts of slides over there, and that you're paying for that park. If you want to go into the park, you have to pay to get in. You have a little wristband thing. If you don't, they don't let you in. And they have food over there, like everywhere else and stuff like that. But we were on the Ocean Lagoon side, which is my favorite part there. I've been there one time before, and we loved it there because it's very chill. It's musicy, so it gets bebopping a little bit, but it's fun and it's really nice and it's just relaxing day. And then there was something special we did on this cruise. So why don't you talk about that? At Perfect Day.
At Perfect Day, we rented a cabana. Now that
And what was the cabana called?
Oasis Lagoon Cabana.
He was having a little trouble pre-show with that one, so that's cool.
Anyways, the cabana was that many people would think that a cabana is maybe an extravagant.
Yeah, a little ritzy. Yeah,
a little ritzy, a little something that, you can live without.
sure.
No. After after we were there in the cabana for the day, going out and sitting by the pool without shade for how long we were there? 6,
7 hours. Yeah.
6, 7 hours. Nothing compares.
You would
to
do it
being-
again.
I would be in the cabana.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the cabana is a little bit expensive. And for two people, it may be an extravagant.
Yeah, it might be cost prohibited. That way.
Cost prohibited. On the other hand, when you have a family or other couples with you, then it's not going to be cost prohibited.
Yeah, because when Royal Caribbean first came out with these cabanas, they used to be about $400. You will never see that price again, probably, but they used to be about $400, which is not very much money for the service you're getting. I would do that 3 times. When we bought ours, it was about $1,100, I believe. I think it was $1,099. That's ridiculously high priced. However, you can have up to 6 people in these cabanas. They do not care. Royal Caribbean does not care who your 6 people are. So if you go with 3 couples, cool. Now you're only paying at our situation, you're paying about $300 a piece, right? A little less than that, but whatever.
$300 a couple.
Yeah, that's what I mean. $300 piece per room is what I meant. But yeah, so you do something like that. So it can become more affordable. You could also bring, if you meet a friend on the ship, you want them to come, great. Like we went there. I think we booked it under your name, if I remember correctly. So you had to come, obviously check in, and then they see that you bought it. And then you say, hey, I'm going, and I think we already put this on the thing when we bought it, but they say, oh, these are with you, you're 5. And you go, yeah. And they give you a bracelet.
Yep.
And then they know who you are. And with that, you get, so like my dad's talking about, they have Ocean Lagoon is a free area. They have chairs, lounge chairs. They have umbrellas at every 2 lounge chairs has an umbrella. You get a little bit of shade. Okay. It's an umbrella. You get umbrella shade. Everybody knows what an umbrella looks like. At the cabanas, you have like a little hut. Okay. It's got a ceiling fan. It's covered for sure. It's got a ceiling fan. Obviously, there's no air conditioning or anything, but it's got a ceiling fan. It's got an L-shaped chaise lounge. It's got a table, big table. The table on one side has a big opening where you can use it for storage. The other side, you can open it up. That's a huge safe, so you can lock your valuables in there whenever you go somewhere. And then also has a couple chairs, just regular nice chairs that are kind of cushy and vibey of a beach area. And then it also has it has like a deck area, and then it opens up to the sand. And then in the sand in front of your cabana are two lounge chairs that are in direct sunlight, but those are lounge chairs. So those are yours, and no one else can use them. So if you want, and you're not now, you're behind this the pool's out there, and there's like shrubbery and bushes
Right.
segregating you, so you don't see all that. You can hear it, but you don't see it. Um, and so you have privacy back there. So if you want to lay out in your hot sun thing and tan or whatever, you can do that. If you want to go like my dad's favorite spot, he loved the chaise lounge thing. So if you want to go in there and kind of pass out in the not air conditioning, but the fan blade going, great. They also had a little table in there between those two chairs. It was a little table, little glass table thing, and you could lift it up. And inside that glass table, ingeniously, they made it into a cooler.
Yes.
So it's full with ice and bottled waters, unlimited. They also give you free towels. It's all Royal Caribbean's island. So the towels. So normally when you get off excursion to a beach area, snorkel, whatever you're gonna do, you're gonna grab towels. You got to remember to bring them back. And if you have a drink package, you're gonna go get tons of bottles of water and take them with you, or you're gonna buy bottles of water if you don't have the drink package, most likely. On this place, you could do that if you want to, but you don't have to because they're going to bring you towels. If you're like, hey, this towel's wet, can I get a new one? They'll do it. And most importantly, I forgot to mention this, they have a cabin attendant. Okay, or a cabana attendant, excuse me. So he or she, in our place it was a he will come around, he'll introduce himself. He has a little coaster, a little button thing. You have a little coaster in your room. Oh, you also have an outlet too there. So if you want to plug your phones into, you can do that. Yeah, which is really nice too. But he has a little coaster button. If you hit it at any time, it sends a signal, I'm guessing, to like a pager or something somewhere, and he immediately shows up. He's also checking on you every 30, 15 minutes, whatever. He just kind of swings by and looks in. But he will bring you any drinks. If you have the drink package, he'll get you any drink you want. If you don't have a drink package, you get it too, but you just have to pay for it. Food. There's lots of free food on the island because it's a Royal Caribbean's island. So your Wi-Fi works there too. If you buy Wi-Fi on the ship, you get free Wi-Fi out there because it's just broadcast from the ship. It definitely gets full coverage there, no problem. So that's another good thing. Drink package. If you buy the drink package on board, that's why I tell people this. Drink package on board also works on the island. So that's not true on all cruise lines. I don't want to name any names, but there's other cruise lines. So when you go to their island, you have to pay for crap. But if you're on their ship, it's free. I think that's a bunch of BS. But that was a nice thing. They did that. And then when we get there, the first thing he did, without even asking, is he brought us this bread loaf sized styrofoam thing of cut up watermelon and cut up melon, like cantaloupe or whatever it was. And it was really nice because it's hot. So you're drinking your waters because they have water and the thing, doing that. And then he's like, hey, what do you guys want to drink? Or what do you want to eat? And if you want to order, they have a little menu, but if you know something else that's free on the island, like I know a couple of things, I've been there before. So I was like, hey, can you get this? He's like, yeah. And they go get it for you. And then like at one point we ordered, one of the things is mozzarella sticks. Of course I have a young daughter, so she loves mozzarella sticks. So we ordered mozzarella sticks and you're like, oh, cool. And you figure they're going to bring out like 4 or 5, 6, maybe 8, right? Max, they brought out a bread loaf sized tray, styrofoam tray. It had to be 40 in there. It was a ton. And that was it. You're sitting there. And then later they brought us cookies. We didn't even ask. So they really take care of you really, really well.
He was very good at that. I mean, the attendant was very attentive. What more can you ask? And that was part of the package. Then the pool, the lagoon, the pool at the lagoon, quite big. I think, was there something inside of it? Was the water, the pool around an island type thing?
There's a little part at the end where there's a swim up bar at the end.
Okay.
And there's like there's a little wooded area that they kind of left wooded there, or made wooded. It probably wasn't wooded before because it was an island, but in the middle of the Caribbean. But they left that there, and in there, on one part, if you go in there, if you go the other side where the bar is, across from the bar, there's like a DJ booth. And then you'll hear him playing all his DJ music.
Anyways, it was that the pool was huge. It was huge. And the pool itself was not crowded. Even though there was a lot of people out there, they may have all been in there, but it didn't seem like crowded. We were able to toss a one of those
Little
football thing around, and we weren't just next to each other. We were spread out in this pool.
Yeah, so you can like jump and try to catch it and fall in the water and not splash anybody. This pool is ginormous, and you can walk all around it. It's all, like I said, it's all free. They have swim up bar. If you want to go up there to the bar and order, just walk up to the bar and order. They also have waiters going around. You give them your card, say I want whatever you want, and they'll go get it for you.
In other case, it's a place to be spoiled, but it's worth it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, compared to other things, it's perfect. I mean, it was a way to be spoiled and enjoy it.
Yeah, the only knock, I know we talked about this pre-show a little bit. The only knock I had to it at all, which was hard to do, was finding it was I know where I've been to the island before since it's been transformed, so I know where the Oasis Lagoon was because I've been there before and I love it. Getting there, no problem. It's a long walk because it's kind of off to you have to go in the path, take you a little longer to get there, right? Just the way it's laid out. Not their fault, just how it's laid out. But finding the desk where you had to check in was a little bit like it's like they had a little kiosk thing, but it's kind of small and you had to see it from the right angle really to see it. Once we got to there, it was fine. And then
they gave us a map when you walk in. At either where you go left or go right.
Yeah.
If you go right, you go into the water park, and you go left.
You can also go straight too. But
where's the lagoon? And they'll say she'll point it out.
Yeah.
It's not that map is not that. It's detailed, but not very oriented to where you're walking.
Yeah, it doesn't really explain to you the spacing because it is a long walk. Like I remember that even when I went with my wife, like the first time I went there, I was like, okay, this is kind of a hike to get back here. It's not horrible. Not saying it like that, but it is longer. Like you look at the map, you're like, oh, it's like 20 feet, but it's not 20 feet.
Well, it's not.
Yeah, and you have to pay attention because they'll have signs everywhere that tell you where to turn. And they'll have little paths that go through woods and stuff.
And you can get off of the path that you need, and you'll never get.
Yeah.
You'll never get back to where you're looking for because there's another path and another path.
Yeah.
And you assume that you're going in the right direction. It was not the most convenient path.
Yeah, and that was one of the things like we noticed when we left, when we were done, it was like I think we boarded at 4, I don't remember. Yeah. So we left like an hour before then to get back on the ship because that ship you don't have to get on the ship early because it's only Royal Caribbean people on the island.
Right.
And they're not going to leave you because they know who's there. Anyway, we went back and we realized later that had we just cut through behind the cabana, there's like woods and there's like a little pathway where the waiters can go back and forth, a little sand back there. Well, if you cut through the woods, which is, I'm going to say 5 feet of wood, it's not very long and you can see through it. It's not scary or anything, or you're not going to get hurt or anything. And you go through, then you're on one of the main roads back there. And that is actually a bus stop, or I don't want to say bus stop, but a tram stop for the tram, which was cool. Except you did have to wait because the trams were like 2 cars each, maybe, or something like that. And so we had to wait through a whole tram of doubling, maybe even 2 of them, I don't remember, before it was our turn to get on a tram. Because everybody else and their mother is also getting on at that time to get, that's just obviously what time you leave happens to be there. The one thing I would say is something Royal Caribbean could improve on, in my opinion, they do have trams that are not the big things that carry all the people, but they do have single ones that carry like 6 people. And those are for people that are like, you have a broken leg or you're in a walker or you're whatever, they can do those kind of things.
Older people.
Right. Or anybody that needs help, right? Or for whatever reason. I think, in my opinion, for the price you're paying for the cabanas, it would be really cool if the Royal Caribbean would offer you the transportation door-to-door service of a personalized little. You're paying a lot of money. I mean, at $1,100 for that thing is pretty expensive. So for me I think they should give you a little offer. You don't have to. Not everybody's going to take it, but if someone wants it, hey, take me to I'm in Ocean Lagoon Cabana, and they go okay, and you hop on, and they go and they drive you to it, drop you off near that bus stop. You go through the woods, boom, you're right there. You check in, and that would have been very easy to do. And then same thing when you leave. I'm not trying to say. I don't want to say. I'm not trying to. I'm not like above. Rolling with everybody else. I'm not that type of person at all, but you are paying a lot of money and it would have been a nice feature of it, or even something maybe you could add on to it. Like say like, hey, for $100 extra, we'll take you to and from whatever Royal Caribbean. I know they're going to out to make money. That's just a nice touch they could have put on it because I've done with my wife. When we went there, we walked to the ship and walked to the lagoon and walked back to the ship. Both, just
It's
walked
a
it.
long distance.
It's long. And then when you're tired at the end of the day and you've been drinking and you've been in the pool and you're baked
But
and
for
stuff, it's
older citizens, older cruisers, no, older people.
yeah.
The
a little bit.
older people,
Sure.
not just people who've who've cruised a long time. But for people up in the age, that would be a helpful.
Yeah, I think so. And they have it. It's not like it would cost them any extra because they already
Right.
have it there. And even if they charged like a little extra for it, or you tip the guy or whatever, you could do it. Don't get me wrong. I could have said to the attendant, "Hey, I need a tram for my family. Not the big thing, but I need the little single transport thing. Can you get me someone to help me out?" And they would have said, "Sure." And I'm sure they would have done it.
I'm sure they would have.
Yeah.
If we
But it would be
asked
nice
for
if that was like part of the package
Yeah.
to me. Because you
For
want to
sure.
feel a little more special. Like I know they do that with other things where you get off the ship and they have someone walk you to they do that in certain other things. So it'd be kind of cool. Whatever.
It
Something
was
for
fine.
Royal Caribbean to consider, at least in my opinion.
As I said, you were pampered. You were
That was the only thing. Like I said, you were pampered, and then at the end, you were back to
back to normal.
Yeah,
But,
you just it was like kind of like, oh, we're done. Okay.
Yeah.
Not that they were mean about it. Not like I said, we could have asked for help, but that would have been a nice little perk. I think that'd be something I would do if I was Royal Caribbean. I would do that because you can use that as an upsell as well. It's like, hey, not only do you get all this stuff, but we also offer a transportation to and from if you want it, because half the people aren't going to want it anyway.
And the other thing was that the lunches, which is part of it, of the package, because that's just anyways. But it's a full lunch. I mean, they're not just giving you a hamburger and a hot dog. You can order anything that was on their
Menu.
the menu.
Well, and they also have if you go to Perfect Day, like that menu was nothing compared to what they have. If we had walked out of the lagoon to I can't remember
The
Pirate
kiosks.
something. There's another big place there that has all that stuff that has way more stuff that we didn't even get. So and it's free, and there's tons of there's so much stuff there that's free that we didn't even go to. They just have a little limited thing they get. Now, if we had asked for a burrito from somewhere over there, they probably would have got it. But I don't know. We didn't try that. We just tried to stay pretty basic with that stuff. Because realistically, I'm not at Perfect Day to eat. I'm there to enjoy the water, but I do want a little snack. But I don't want to pig out because then I don't. I want to go back in the pool and have fun. All right, we're getting long on time here, so let's move on here. The Perfect Day, though, you would definitely do that again.
Yeah.
Would you definitely do a cabana again if it was just the two of you? There it is. There's the question. I would not. I loved it.
It's pretty expensive for just. It's really made for a group.
Yeah, I agree with that. If I was just with my wife, as much as I'd love to do a cabana, cost prohibited, I probably wouldn't do it because I could find other ways to spend that money. If I was with my wife and my daughter, again, it's possible, but I would probably use my money for something else.
Right.
I'm not saying I wouldn't want to do it ever. I would always want to do it, but I'd probably want to spend the money on maybe another excursion somewhere else instead or something like that. But definitely in a group of like 5 people, 6 people, to me, that's a no-brainer because A, you're getting more value for your money with all those people. B, also, if you wanted to split it with costs and stuff like that, you have that opportunity. So, and it's not that big of a deal at that point.
For what you pay for the cabana, you could do a lot of excursions. You could do a lot of specialty dining. Restaurants. What else do they charge? That's about it.
Well, drink package, internet package, stuff like that.
Something like that.
But that's the benefit.
All those things to it. That would fit into the amount of money you spend on a cabana.
Yeah, and that's the benefit of cruising is there's absolutely no reason why on a cruise you can't buy a cruise, never spend another penny, go on the cruise, have a wonderful time, be amazed, of course get fed everywhere you want, do all that stuff, right? Maybe buy drinks a la carte instead of a drink package or something. Don't do the internet because you don't care, and have a great time. There always are little add-ons you can do that make it a little better, in my opinion, but that's up to you how much you want to spend and if you want to do any of that stuff. So that's why I love cruising because it's really, you can form it however you want. Now let's see here. Let me get, okay. So let's wrap this up here with a few more questions. Any first-time tips to offer anyone sailing on a cruise in general or on the Adventure of the Seas?
First time?
Yeah, first-time cruisers.
You really have to go on a cruise a number of times to get acclimated to all the stuff that's available.
That's a very good point.
There isn't a way. No matter what they say, no matter what they send you as first time, you have to watch this, you have to do this, but you have to know about the parking. Sometimes if you don't, you just parking is because the parking is right next to the terminal. That helps. Uh, if you don't, you may be parking 5 miles away.
Yeah, and then on another thing we forgot to mention about the parking too is a lot of those further away lots, they will have shuttles for free that'll take you to the
Right.
pier, or to the Terminal 18 in that case. However, they're not gonna like Uber. You call them, they're gonna show up, take you right there. The shuttle, the thing might be like, yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna wait till we have 30 people
Right.
before we do it. So you're on their time. When I'm on a cruise, I want to be on my time because it's my cruise, right? Or it's my vacation. So that's why I like parking at the port right there because I can walk. When I get out, like usually we get ship docks at 6 or something. Customs takes a while to go through. I'm off the ship by 7:38, and by 8:15, I'm already on my way home. Not that I want to go home quickly because I was on vacation, but it's time to get back to reality. I got a long drive, and I want to get going so that I can get back home and start, transforming and then reminisce about what I was just on. For me, my first time tip would be big tip is honestly just to get there the day before. I think I've done it both
That
ways.
helps.
Yeah,
That
I've done it
helps.
both ways, and I used to always be like, oh, I don't need to sleep the first day, and then come like 3 or 4. Everybody else is 4 o'clock is usually when you depart, or 5 or whatever. Everybody's excited up top, and they're like, yeah, and this ship's and it starts taking off, and you're excited. I'm like, I want to lay down. You know what I mean? Because even young kids, like you're done if you've been driving all night and stuff like that. So I say like, yeah, get there the night before. Save yourself the anxiety of missing anything, same as of missing a flight, whatever. Just get there the day before, no issues. What was your favorite highlight of the cruise? This cruise in particular, overall.
Highlight?
Yeah,
Listen,
your favorite.
being
highlight.
with my family.
Oh God, what a cheesy thing.
Okay. The highlight is
I'm just playing.
I would think we really enjoyed the Ocean Lagoon
Yeah, Oasis Lagoon,
Oasis
Cabana. You can put
Cabana.
it all together.
Oasis Lagoon Cabana.
Yes.
That was beyond expectations. There were other places, other things.
And who upsold you with that? Even though let me also say too, I recommended to them because it was an idea because there were so many of us. I saw the value in it as an idea. However, just to be transparent, I do not get any kickbacks from that stuff. So I don't get any sort of pay out of that kind of stuff that you do on Perfect Day or any of those islands or excursions. I don't get any of that stuff. The only time I get any of that stuff is if you're in a group and then we're all doing it as a group, like kind of thing. But I mean, a group meaning like multiple rooms, like 8 rooms, 10 rooms, something like that. So yeah, I have to agree. The Perfect Day I've been to, Perfect Day is by far my favorite Royal Caribbean stop. And most people that go there understand why. In my opinion, way better than any other islands stop. But that's my opinion because there's just so much to do or so little to do depending on which way you want to run your show. The Cabana was above and beyond what I thought it would be. So for me, the highlight would be kind of trike bike thing was really cool. And that was fun. That was the best excursion ever. So that's a highlight as far as an excursion goes. But overall experience and kind of being cheesy like my dad here, the Cabana was really cool, but also that whole time as a family and perfect day in the Oasis Lagoon was awesome. That whole day was just fun, just chill. Everybody's relaxing, having fun. Everybody's enjoying it. So that was my favorite thing.
And the Junior Suite.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's a good one.
In this particular cruise, because it was more affordable than normal, was a highlight.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And I'm going to go into, I'll mention it here, but I'm going to do a whole nother podcast on it later. We were also in a junior suite. Obviously that's what we both booked. We went through the Royal Up program. My family went up through the Royal Up program and won, which was just luck of the draw. I've never won before. And we got bumped up to a 1-bedroom grand suite. And it was really surprising because I'd never done a junior suite before. Also never done a 1-bedroom grand suite. Also probably will never do that again because those are ridiculously high priced. But it was interesting to see the pros and cons side by side of 2 different rooms because we of course went to visit my parents in their room and got to hang out with them there and see, oh, look at this. This is really cool. I like how they, like you said, that walk-in closet was amazing. We have a suite that's 3 times or 2 times the price of yours. We didn't have a walk-in closet.
But they had a walk-in bathroom.
Right, but we had different things. Like, so a grand suite, a junior suite is roughly 1.5 of a balcony room, of ocean view balcony room. It's about that size. Okay, so most people, if you've been on a cruise, you kind of know what it's like. A grand suite 1 bedroom is 2 ocean view balcony rooms together. 1/2 is your bedroom and your bathroom. The other half is your seating area and your little kitchenette and your closets and stuff like that. And they have a little bar there and stuff like that. So I have videos that I did for both these rooms that'll go out shortly, kind of going over all the stuff and also going over the pros and cons. And surprisingly, I will tell you, not to be a spoiler alert here, but not everything about the grand suite was better than the junior suite.
Nope.
So there are definitely things where I was like, oh, I actually like that better. I actually, if I had to compare, obviously the 2 in prices and I'm buying cash value for these things, I would take the junior suite over the grand suite. Definitely has more perks, but some of them are cool. Some of them are whatever. It depends on your liking and stuff. But I think the junior suite was better value for your money. So we'll go over that in another podcast, but I did want to go over that for everybody and also go over the Royal Up program and how that works. Let's see. Based on that ship, the Adventure of the Seas, compared to other ships you've been on, do you prefer, like Oasis class, which are the biggest in the world currently? Do you prefer smaller or larger ships, and why?
The larger ships have more compared to the smaller ships. Everything's the same. I mean, they not the same, but they all have the same amenities. They all have the same luxuries. They all have the same normal stuff, except that when you go to the bigger ships, it's in a grander scale. All the rooms are basically the same. I mean, I don't believe that the rooms are different sizes.
They might be a little off on certain ships, but they're roughly the same.
But they're
all pretty.
So
comparable.
I'm not saying that if you go to a smaller ship, you're going to have a bigger room when you get to that's not going to happen. But for the theater, the shows are bigger.
Right. They have Oasis class ships have the water shows with the divers and the swimmers and all. They don't have that on the ship because they don't have a pool. They don't have that thing's not there. They don't have that. So there's a little bit of different stuff. They do have the ice rink though. They do ice shows. Like you said, they do Broadway shows on Oasis class. On the little ships, they don't because it's just not as big of an area. But it's not, I won't say smaller is worse or any way in that sense. No. It's really different. It's what you like. I think that's the key.
The scale.
Yeah, the scale's different. And also, I will say this: if you're a frugal person, right, and you like to save money, because who doesn't like to save money? And if you've looked at like Icon of the Seas, for instance, that's their newest ship that's coming out. That's really expensive. You're talking right now about $6,000 to $7,000 for 2 people in a balcony room. That's almost double what you could do on some of these other ships. If you like the smaller ships and you're cool with it and you think they're fun or whatever, they are a great value because they are always going to be cheaper. The older ships are always cheaper than the hot new commodity. So right now, Wonder of the Seas is the hottest ship because it's the newest. And okay, eventually Icon's not out yet, but it's coming soon. Once Icon comes out, it'll be expensive. Well, it is right now. You can still book it and stuff. But then Wonder will start calming down. And then later this year and later in 24, Utopia comes out, which then means Wonder what? No one cares. Then they want Utopia. So then you can start getting discounts. And then you go back to like the Oasis, which was the first one. Well, that one might be a steal,
It just depends on what they're going to add to the bigger ships.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah. And
you said that they had a water slide that
and the dry slide and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. That went, and that's only because the bigger ships can handle that.
Yeah.
And because they have 20 decks.
Yeah.
Versus 15 versus 12.
Yeah. And they have just more space to put stuff. So,
yeah.
So you don't mind, you're not opposed to either one. It's more port heavy for you and what you like and kind of, you're comfortable at it. You're free going as far as that goes. You don't.
It doesn't
because I know you've been on a lot of different ships. You've been on more classes than I have been on.
Right.
So and you
variety of the ships.
So that's cool. That's cool. That's a good answer.
I'm
the same way. I've been on the Mariner. I've been on a lot of all the Oasis class pretty much, except for Symphony. But the Mariner. I'm sorry, the Voyager class ships. I think are great. Are they as big and as like that as an Oasis class? No, but I had a great time on both of them. My wife, on the other hand, she comparatively, if she had to compare the two, she likes the Oasis class better because she likes the bigger Solarium. She likes the Solarium bigger on the other.
Well, that's the
And
other
that,
thing.
and I said, but it wasn't like she didn't like the Solarium on the other one. She was like, "This is fine.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's way nicer than being at your house, like doing nothing, right?" So she wasn't like being a snob. She was just like, "But if you're asking me to pick between this one or this one, I would take this one, and because this is what I like."
It depends on like the pool.
Yeah.
I mean, the pool on this ship was smaller in comparison to the bigger ships. The bigger ships had longer.
They have bigger pools. They have more pools too.
They had more pools,
Yeah.
but they also were not Olympic size. But
No, they're nowhere close. Cruise ships are not going to have big pools in general on them because they just don't have that much space. But they're going to have way more pools. They like Oasis class. I want to say, if you don't count they count whirlpools as pools too. When you say they have 13 pools, they don't have 13 pools, but they might have like 6 or something on there. Whereas the other ships, like this ship we were on, maybe had 3 or 2 or something like it's because it's just smaller scale. And they might be a little
very long. You're not going to do laps in it.
No. These are more like wading around in pools and just kind of chilling.
That's what I'm saying. But the other pool, the bigger ships did have areas that you could do a lap.
Yeah, a mini lap, and you could do like they have beach pools on the other ships where like the ground just slopes in. They have cantilevered whirlpools off the side of the ship that are ginormous that hold like 50 people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that stuff. So it's just a different. It's really not fair to compare them because they're just totally different entities.
Yeah, but on this ship had the wave.
The flow rider.
Oh
yeah, and that's the thing too. On this ship, you'll have a flow rider. A Oasis class ship will have 2 flow riders because it's bigger. This one has a golf course. That one has a golf course. Like this one, they all have roughly all the same stuff. There's every ship in Royal Caribbean has a little uniqueness to each little ship because they want you to obviously go on other ships. They're not clones. They could be close to clones, but they're not clones. They might change the restaurant here. They might put this restaurant you like only on this one ship. If you like Azumi and you want to eat in the Royal Promenade, well, then you get on an adventure. You suck it up, Buttercup. So those kind of things. They might do that. This one might have the Oasis class ships will have laser tag. The Oasis class ships will have the Anthem class will have bumper cars. And the I can't remember the North Pole where it goes up in that dome and it swings around the ship and you can get these great views from above the sea deck, the highest deck, and all that stuff. Those are things that if you want to do that, you have to go on those class of ships. So it's kind of cool.
You asked me about first time tips for first timers.
Yeah.
It's like, think of it as buying a car. Think of it as buying a car or buying a house or something like that. Originally you start and all you want is, if you want a house, it's just shelter and rooms and all this other stuff. Once you've lived in it, then you know that you want a bigger kitchen.
Yeah.
You want your bedroom to be a little bit bigger. You want this. In a car, so you had an AM, well, they don't make that anymore, but like an AM radio. You said, what do you need an FM for? Well, the point is, once you've had an FM, you don't want to go back.
Yeah.
And all this is you experience this stuff, you know what you want, and then you can make your choice.
Yeah, and I have a client doing that right now. They just got back off a Wonder of the Seas cruise, which is the biggest cruise ship in the world. That was their first cruise ever. And now they've already scheduled another one. Conveniently enough, this is actually going to be on the Adventure of the Seas, which is pretty funny. And they're excited because they've seen the best of the best as far as we know right now that's physically available right now. But now they want to go down to the Adventure because they want to see like, okay, that was really cool. And that was kind of insane with all the, and then now they want to go to this and see what this is like. And then eventually they'll try another class, and eventually they'll try another class. And then after they do all that, whatever their favorite is, they'll do their favorite. Right. So that, I think that's really cool. And I really like that. I enjoy trying a ship, any ship for the first time, just because I like to experience that. So do you have any, I kind of already know this answer, but any upcoming cruises planned? Put you on the spot. Boo. Okay, that's fine. All right. Well, that was a little just trying to be funny there. All right. So that was it. Let's wrap this up. This has been a long podcast here, so I'm probably gonna. Well, if you're listening to it on podcast form, I'm probably gonna cut this up into a couple episodes. But either way, Joel, thank you for spending time with us at the J-Cation Travel Podcast. It was cool. I hope it was very informative to everybody here. And I plan to do some more of these in the future. And like I said, I'm going to do one over about the Royal Up program and kind of give people a heads up to that, some little tips I used, and maybe you'll get lucky too. It's just a luck of the draw. So, but it was really neat. And then I'll do another podcast where I'm going to go over my room, the 1-bedroom grand suite that we had, and then kind of compare it to the junior suite that we would have had, and that I got to see because luckily enough my parents were on board, so I got to see that suite and kind of compare and contrast the pros and cons of each. And ultimately, I think you kind of got it from this one, but which one I would probably do in the future if money was no object, I would probably probably junior suite. But
Probably.
we're going to wrap it up here. Thanks, Joel, again for the time on the podcast here. And without further ado, we're going to end J-Cation Travel Podcast episode number 13. See ya!